Chapter 1069. Hiss, hiss. The sound of the city wall melting seemed to burn the hearts of every member of the Wind Spirit region. This fortress was their ancestral home, but now it was disappearing under the power of the greedy wolf cannons. Zhao Qian, you'll die a horrible death. Ling Songhan roared at the enemies in the distance. Zhao Qian laughed. Winner takes all. Lord Ling Songhan, it's not too late for you to surrender to the heaven-devouring realm. What do you say? Make your decision. Ling Songhan's eyes were burning. Zhao Qian must die. The heaven-devouring realm must die. Bastard! Zhao Qian roared. Keep bombing. I'm going to turn the Wind Spirit region into a scorched land. I'm going to turn all the women in the Wind Spirit region into slaves. I'm going to turn all the children in the Wind Spirit region into sinful slaves. Kill them. The bombardment continued, and in the blink of an eye, the entire wall of the domain fortress in the realm of Wind Spirit was almost melted into a pile of debris. But at this moment, a strong aura appeared in the domain fortress. Reinforcements had finally arrived. Swoosh! Moving like a meteor, Lin Muyu rushed into the crowd of the heaven-devouring realm like a bolt of lightning with the Xianyuan sword in her hand. Sword light flashed continuously, and two greedy wolf cannons were instantly turned into scrap iron. Behind her, Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai, and the others roared and attacked. More and more people came, and fierce storms surged outside the city. In the other two directions, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi each led hundreds of God-state experts to launch a fierce attack, forming a triangular attack on the people under Zhao Qian's command. As long as the people of the Wind Spirit region in the city attacked together, they would be able to surround them. Don't show mercy. Kill. Lin Muyu ordered loudly. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 gods had died under the Xianyuan sword. Godheads rolled on the ground, glowing with a translucent luster. However, who would have the time to care about these godheads in the midst of a great battle? On the ground, flames and storms surged up into the sky. The gods all showed their powers and fought with their opponents. Those bastards from the Dragon League. Zhao Qian's face turned red. Fight back. The Dragon League is nothing in our territory. Fight back. As he spoke, Zhao Qian turned the saber in his hand and took the initiative to look for Lin Muyu, who was not far away. Good timing. Lin Muyu applauded loudly. The current Lin Muyu was no longer the Lin Muyu from the treasure-seizing assembly. Her strength had increased by more than 10 to 20%, while Zhao Qian's strength had almost stagnated. The disparity in strength between the two of them had turned into a draw. Clang. The two swords collided, and the chaos of the lives forced Zhao Qian to retreat several meters. Perhaps it was not that they were evenly matched, but that Lin Muyu was slightly superior. How is this possible? Zhao Qian was shocked. He was a 93rd Grotto Heaven Great Perfection Celestial the Arch, while Lin Muyu did not seem to have stepped into the Great Perfection Celestial the Arch realm. How did he manage to push him away and gain the upper hand in terms of strength and aura? But that was the reality. Lin Muyu smiled faintly, and a layer of gold slowly appeared on his body. He had already entered the state of immortal golden body. This could only mean one thing: he wanted to end the battle quickly. Under the state of immortal golden body, Lin Muyu could fight evenly with Zhu Long, who was at the 97th Grotto Heaven realm, or even better. Zhao Qian, who was in front of him, was far inferior to Zhu Long in terms of cultivation and state of mind. Naturally, he was not a match for Lin Muyu. Flames surged around the long sword, and streaks of stardust spread out. Lin Muyu switched from defense to offense with a sword. 5 mountains from heaven. Clang. This sword almost knocked away Zhao Qian's weapon. It was wide open and full of openings. Zhao Qian was shocked, and he hurriedly gathered his chaotic divine power to form a shield in front of his chest to protect himself. But he did not expect Lin Muyu to step on the void, and suddenly appeared behind him at an incredible speed. Xianyuan's sword was raised, and he attacked again, for Luminary's demon god cry. He was completely at a disadvantage in terms of speed. However, Zhao Qian was, after all, a god who had been through hundreds of battles. With a furious roar, wisps of golden quicksand light flowed around his body. This was the power of samsara. He wanted to extend time to gain more space to dodge. However, at the moment when Zhao Qian used the revolving samsara wheel, Lin Muyu's blade was also covered in quicksand. Time sped up. Ah! Zhao Qian exclaimed, and hurriedly used his sword to block. He hurriedly blocked the attack and could only gather less than 50% of his divine power. On the other hand, Lin Muyu's attack contained all of her supreme divine power. It was obvious who had the upper hand, and the weapon became the scapegoat. The Xinyuan sword, which had struck with all its might, directly shattered Zhao Qian's sword. Pieces of the blade shot out in all directions like bullets. Wah! Zhao Qian groaned. The god wall on his shoulder had already been smashed by Lin Muyu. The difference in strength between the two was too great, and Zhao Qian was actually defeated within 3 moves. Quick! Save the deputy region master. A group of people attacked, but unexpectedly, Nangong Lai suddenly appeared on the right side of Lin Muyu. He swept his long sword and roared, "All of you retreat. Who dares to come forward?" The sword light swept past, and the godly state experts were forced into a difficult situation. 2 of them were even killed. Nangong Lai's reputation as the #1 person in the east of the 64 domains was not just for show. His strength was even stronger than Feng Zhan Lin, Mochi Lin, and the others. In the entire Dragon League, Nangong Lai's strength was probably second only to the 4 Grand Sorcerers. Still want to leave? Lin Muyu's faint laughter reverberated in the air. Stardust flickered in her hand, and the stardust turned into chains. Strands of silk ribbons bound Zhao Qian's injured body, so that he could not move. "Lin Muyu, what do you want?" Zhao Qian's eyes widened. "I am the Deputy Region Master of the Devouring Heaven Domain. Do you dare to kill me?" "Of course I don't dare to kill you." Lin Muyu smiled, "but I want you to bring a gift for me to Senior Situ Yun." As she spoke, Lin Muyu suddenly opened her palm, and a powerful suction force was generated in the space. Zhao Qian screamed, and his head felt like it was about to explode. The godhead in his eye trembled slowly, and Zhao Qian could not control it anymore. Soon, wisps of light appeared in front of Zhao Qian's brow, and in the blink of an eye, they formed a cast immortal lattice. It was Zhao Qian's godhead. "Ah!" Zhao Qian screamed in pain and kept begging, "Leader Lin, please stop. I'm willing to submit to you, and I'm willing to join the Dragon League. Please don't destroy my cultivation, please." Lin Muyu's voice was calm. "That's not what you said before. You said you wanted to destroy the entire Wind Spirit domain and take people's wives and children. How can I believe someone like you?" As soon as she finished speaking, Lin Muyu suddenly grabbed the cast immortal lattice and cut off the connection between it and Zhao Qian. With a miserable howl, Zhao Qian plummeted towards the ground. He had already lost his cultivation as a god, and he had even lost the ability to fly. Nangong Lai laughed. "Zhao Qian has been destroyed. Do you still want to resist to the end?" A saber light slashed toward his cheek. The blade was sharp, and it was at least a God-Emperor realm expert. "Damn it!" Nangong Lai dodged to the side. His cheek was scratched by the saber energy, and he said angrily, "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Lin Muyu, on the other hand, held onto her godhood and leaped tens of meters into the air. The place where she was just standing had already been swallowed up by a flaming whirlpool. She did not know which gods had created this whirlpool. The battle between gods was too terrifying. It had the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. If she did not protect herself well, it would be easy for her to be swallowed up by the aftershocks. Boom, boom, boom. 3 consecutive sword energies blasted into the city wall, and instantly, the 100-meter wall of the domain castle collapsed. She didn't know which bastard did this, but she knew that the Wind Spirit domain was no longer habitable. Not too far away, a pillar of fire shot up into the sky. Twisting around like a tornado, it slammed into the crowd. Lin Muyu knew that this was the handiwork of Tang Xiaoxi. How tyrannical was the Flame Master God? The moment Tang Xiaoxi went berserk, no one would be able to get near her. On the other side, Qin Yin held the East Flower Sword and slashed several times in the air. Suddenly, several opponents were killed. "Finish it quickly!" Lin Muyu shouted. This time, they couldn't keep any captives. It was wisest to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the main force of the heaven-devouring territory came, they wouldn't be able to leave even if they wanted to. In less than the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the thousands of God realm experts of the realm of heaven-devouring were defeated and fled. Nangong Lai and Ling Songhan didn't chase after them. They quickly counted the number of people and flew away without taking the treasures of the realm of wind spirit. Leader, why didn't you kill that bastard Zhao Qian? Ling Songhan couldn't help but frown and ask. Lin Muyu said, Zhao Qian's godhead has been extracted by me. He's now a useless man. There's not much difference between killing him and not killing him. Don't tell me you don't want to kill him? Ling Songhan said, Zhao Qian destroyed my home and bullied the weak for so many years because of the heaven-devouring territory behind him. I really want to kill him. Don't worry. He's lost his cultivation now. Keeping him alive is more painful than killing him. That's true. I still don't understand why you don't want to kill him. Killing Zhao Qian now will only anger Situ Yun. The Dragon League can't officially start a war with the heaven-devouring territory for now. At least let Zhao Qian go back alive. Situ Yun will be angry, but at least he won't feel humiliated. Yes, I understand. Ling Songhan had just joined the Dragon League. He knew he couldn't ask too many questions. After all, even someone like Nangong Lai was respectful to Lin Muyu, the leader. He couldn't overstep his boundaries. Qin Yin flew over and opened her palm. There were a few glittering godheads. She smiled and said, they're all heavenly Tao godheads with pure power. They can greatly speed up Sister Xian's cultivation. Lin Muyu took out Zhao Qian's forged immortal godhead and put it in her hand. She said, this is faster. Zhao Qian's godhead is more powerful. Help me give it to Sister Xian. Chapter 1070. In the devouring heaven domain, the main hall was filled with jade-green spirit stones. Everyone had different expressions on their faces and seemed to be discussing something. Situ Yun had a weather-beaten face and looked to be in his 40s. His eyes were cold as he said, Men, bring Deputy Domain Lord Zhao Qian in. 4 God State experts carried a stretcher and walked in. Zhao Qian was lying on it. At this moment, Zhao Qian's face was pale and his body was covered in blood. Because his godhead had been extracted, his body was like a river that had lost its water source, trembling. When everyone put him down, Zhao Qian immediately rolled on the ground and knelt there, sobbing. Deputy Region Lord, is this the work of Lin Muyu? Situ Yun asked. Yes, Region Lord. Please, Region Lord, you must uphold justice for me. Zhao Qian kowtowed repeatedly and said, Lin Muyu had the foresight and led tens of thousands of people to defeat the troops of the heaven-devouring realm. I was outnumbered and defeated, and my godhead was extracted. I hope the Domain Lord can grant me a new refined godhead, so that I can quickly regain my cultivation. You want a divine spark? Situ Yun squinted. Deputy Region Lord, do you think there's a chance for you to regain your cultivation? Of course, of course. Zhao Qian's body trembled. He suddenly turned to look at the other region lords, his eyes filled with pleading. Unexpectedly, the region lords all turned around and did not look at him. The world was fickle, and Zhao Qian had always been an arrogant villain, relying on his cultivation to do as he pleased. Now that retribution had come so quickly, the region lords could not wait for him to die. Zheng Xian of the Falling Star Domain was the only one who frowned and said, Domain Lord. Deputy Domain Lord Zhao Qian was injured because of his loyalty to the heaven-devouring domain. I hope the Domain Lord can bestow him with a godhead on account of his past contributions. I believe Deputy Domain Lord Zhao Qian will be able to serve the heaven-devouring domain again after cultivating it. Really? Situ Yun smiled faintly. Since Hall Lord Zheng Xian has said so, someone take a divine spark from the treasury and give it to Deputy Region Lord Zhao Qian to refine. Yes. A godly king subordinate turned around and left. Zhao Qian was stunned. Only the heavenly Tao lattice? Domain Lord, we have a cast immortal lattice in our treasury. Forged immortal lattice? Situ Yun sneered. Deputy Region Master, Do you think you still have the ability to refine the forged immortal lattice? Furthermore, the cast immortal lattice's spiritual power is too vigorous, and it's not suitable for the current Deputy Region Master. A heavenly Tao lattice is enough. There's still a long way to go, and recovering your strength isn't something that can be done in a day. I hope that Deputy Region Master doesn't rush things. Alright, thank you for the reward, Territorial Lord. Zhao Qian was disappointed. He stood up and was about to leave with the help of 2 Hierarch Realm experts. Deputy Region Master Zhao, don't go yet. Situ Yun suddenly said. Zhao Qian was stunned. What's wrong, Governor? Is there anything else? Yes, leave behind your Deputy Region Master's golden token. But Zhao Qian was shocked. Situ Yun said, Deputy Region Master Zhao, you need to refine and produce a new divine lattice. I'm afraid it'll take at least 1.5 years to complete. Moreover, your current condition isn't suitable to handle the affairs of the domain. Therefore, someone else will temporarily take over your position. After all, the affairs of the entire Devouring Heaven domain cannot be stopped. I hope that Deputy Region Master can forgive me. Once your strength is restored, the position of Deputy Region Master will naturally belong to you. Governor, Zhao Qian took out the golden token from his chest and placed it on the ground. His eyes were filled with despair. He kowtowed to Situ Yun before turning around and leaving. His figure looked very lonely. The dignified number 2 expert of the Devouring Heaven domain had ended up like this. It was really sad and lamentable. Zheng Xian, Du Xing and the other hall masters looked at Zhao Qian's departure with a sad expression on their faces. Perhaps Zhao Qian's present was their future. Everyone knew that the Devouring Heaven domain master Situ Yun was a merciless person, but no one dared to say anything. Ahem, Situ Yun lightly coughed twice and said, Zhao Qian has already been removed from the position of Deputy Region Lord. I intend to choose 2 more hall masters to take on the position of Deputy Region Lord. They will help me share my burdens. I don't know if anyone wants to recommend themselves. The dozens of hall masters were dumbfounded. They used to be the region masters of the major domains, but now standing here, they felt very insignificant. Today, the Devouring Heaven domain was a super large domain with tens of thousands of godly state experts. To be able to become the Deputy Region Master of the Devouring Heaven domain was far more glorious than being a Region Master of a small domain. Among the crowd, a person stepped forward and said, I'm willing to try. I wonder if the Region Master thinks that I'm suitable to be the Deputy Region Master and serve the Devouring Heaven domain with everyone else? The person who spoke was Du Xing, the former Region Master of the Gale domain of the 12 northern domains. He was a 91st level Grotto Heaven expert and one of the stronger hall masters of the Devouring Heaven domain. Very good, very good. Situ Yun said, Hall Master Du Xing is a person of virtue and prestige in the northern region. You are the most suitable to be the Deputy Region Master of the Devouring Heaven domain. Come, this position is yours from now on. Whoosh! The golden badge flew out of his hand and was caught by Du Xing the next moment. He knelt on one knee and said, Thank you, Region Master. Everyone said in unison, Congratulations, Deputy Region Master Du. Congratulations. Du Xing's face was flushed with joy. Situ Yun smiled and said, The Devouring Heaven domain is already a super large domain. A Deputy Region Master is far from enough. Is there any other hall masters who are willing to be the Deputy Region Master? The group of hall masters fell silent again. A few of them were eager to try, but they seemed to be afraid that it was not enough, so they stood there uneasily. After a while, finally, one of them walked out and knelt on one knee and said, Region Master, Zheng Xian is willing to try. Zheng Xian of the Falling Star domain was at the 87th level Grotto Heaven. In terms of cultivation, more than half of the hall masters here were stronger than him. Situ Yun squinted and said with a smile, Hall Master Zheng Xian's cultivation is profound and his saber skills are sharp, but in terms of cultivation level, he is not very outstanding. If you want to be the Deputy Region Master, at least give me a reason that can convince me, Situ Yun, right? My reason is hatred. Zheng Xian's eyes were resolute. I hate Lin Muyu, I hate the Dragon League. From the moment the treasure seizing conference began, they have been taking everything away from me. I can't wait to tear Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Feng Zhanlin and the others into pieces. I can't wait to crush the Dragon League and turn them into ashes. But I know that my strength is not enough, and I have to rely on everyone's strength. Even if I become the Deputy Region Master, I will just be a servant of everyone here, working for everyone, bowing and bowing, because you will avenge me and the Falling Star Domain, you will kill my enemies. Good. Du Xing was the first to applaud. Situ Yun also smiled and said, but hatred is indeed a power that comes from the depths of life. Then in the future, I hope Deputy Region Master Zheng Xian will take care of the affairs of the Devouring Heaven Domain. A golden token flew straight into Zheng Xian's hand. He prostrated himself on the ground, trembling with excitement or nervousness. Thank you, Domain Lord. Thank you, Hall Masters. I, Zheng Xian, will do my best to serve the heaven-devouring region. Get up. You are now the Deputy Region Master, one of the three venerables. Zheng Xian stood up and stood on both sides of Situ Yun with Du Xing. Situ Yun's eyes turned cold. Lin Muyu has repeatedly challenged the dignity of the Devouring Heaven Domain, and now she has injured the former Deputy Region Master Zhao Qian. How do you think we should deal with the aggression of the Dragon League? There are tens of thousands of immortal state warriors in the Devouring Heaven Domain. Why should we be afraid of the Dragon League? A Hall Master said in a low voice. As long as we gather our strength and rush to the south, destroy the Falling Star Domain first, and then Dragon City, we will destroy the foundation of the Dragon League. Even if Lin Muyu has 3 heads and 6 arms, what can she do? That's not a good idea. Zheng Xian shook his head. Lin Muyu is far more powerful than Hall Master Lu thinks. Not to mention how powerful Lin Muyu's supreme godhead is, Lin Muyu's right-hand men are already very powerful. The 4 ancestral sorcerers, the Seraph Shi Yan, whose strength is rapidly recovering, and Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, who are among the 12 main deities. Not to mention that the Dragon League has merged with the Mystic Heaven Domain and the Wind Spirit Domain. Nangong Lai and Ling Songhan are also very difficult to deal with. If we want to destroy the Dragon League, we need a long-term plan. Situ Yun smiled. What do you have in mind, Deputy Region Master Zheng? Yes, we will destroy them one by one. What do you mean? Zheng Xian smiled. As far as I know, Shi Yan is cultivating in the Cave of Gods and Demons, and there are no guards around. As long as we gather the strongest immortal state warriors in the heaven-devouring realm, we will definitely be able to kill Shi Yan, who has not yet reached her peak strength. However, there is a certain degree of danger, because Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi may also be in the Cave of Gods and Demons. Situ Yun frowned. Doesn't that mean you didn't say anything? That's not the case. There are a few other targets that we can hunt. Candle Dragon, with thousands of immortal state warriors, is in the west of us, thousands of miles away from the Falling Star Domain where Lin Muyu is. Candle Dragon is just a chess piece used to control the Falling Star Domain. In this case, we can kill this chess piece when it is unprepared. Kill Candle Dragon? Du Xing said, I'm afraid it won't be easy. Candle Dragon is one of the 4 ancestral sorcerers, and he is very powerful. It won't be easy to kill him. Not necessarily. Situ Yun smiled and said, Candle Dragon is a human after all. As long as we are determined, there is no need to worry about not being able to kill him. Du Xing said, but Candle Dragon has thousands of immortal state warriors with him. Zheng Xian smiled. Deputy Region Master Du, don't worry. Candle Dragon is frivolous and arrogant, and he is very confident in his strength. We can set a trap. I, Zheng Xian, will lure Candle Dragon out, and the Region Master will ambush outside with the experts of the realm. Once Candle Dragon comes, we will attack together, and we will definitely be able to kill this 96th level ancestral sorcerer. Situ Yun couldn't help but laugh. Wonderful. Deputy Region Master Zheng is indeed the star of the heaven-devouring realm. Chapter 1071. In the Fire Lion region, a fiery red fortress stood in the middle of a vast forest. This fortress had a long history, But ever since the region Lord Zhuang Fei was killed, this fortress had fallen into the hands of the Dragon League. Now, thousands of godly state experts were stationed here, and it was the northernmost line of defense of the Dragon League. Under the scorching sun, prey were strolling and hunting in the forest outside the fortress of the Fire Lion region. Water beasts were drinking water by the river, and hissing sounds could be heard from the shore. It was a shapeless person with a long wriggling body and a tongue sticking out. It was Zhu Long. Zhu Long had ascended to become a sorcerer deity with the body of a snake, so he naturally retained his most primitive habits. After coming out of the ancestral sorcerer's illusion, hunting had become his greatest pleasure. Hiss! After a sharp hiss, 2 water beasts were instantly devoured, leaving only messy fur on the ground. Zhu Long patted his stomach in satisfaction, a happy smile on his face. Suddenly, an aura disappeared, and Zhu Long could not help but frown. His body flew close to the surface of the ground at high speed. He pulled out the sword at his waist and slashed in the air. There was a dang sound and sparks flew. This sword had actually slashed on a steel blade. It was a willow leaf blade. That person retreated in panic. His body was faintly glowing with divine power. He was an expert in the God Emperor realm. Zhu Long chuckled. "Are you a spy? Don't go, stay and play with Grandpa." Zheng Xian swept through the forest like a gust of wind, moving at an incredible speed. He cultivated in the law of the wind to begin with, so escaping was his specialty. However, as he was fleeing, the grass in front of him suddenly grew at a crazy rate. Every strand of grass was like a venomous snake, twisting around Zheng Xian's feet and trying to devour him. "Get lost." Zheng Xian's body spun rapidly, and his butterfly knife slashed with all his might. Immediately, the grass and vines were shattered by the sharp knife energy, but Zhu Long's attack came from behind. His long sword had a penetrative power that could destroy everything. Zheng Xian gritted his teeth and crossed his 2 knives in front of his chest. With a low roar, he condensed a thick wind shield. Blood splattered everywhere. Zheng Xian was actually unable to withstand Zhulong's attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backward. Like a cannonball, his body was blasted by Zhulong's sword, breaking countless trees and falling into the distant forest. Zhu Long frowned. Is the heaven-devouring territory really that powerful? Are all the scouts they send so powerful? Who cares? Let's kill and eat him first. He licked his lips and his face was full of killing intent. His figure turned into a shadow and chased after them. On the other side of the forest, there were a few people sitting on a cliff. One of them was Situ Yun, and there were more than 10 other people. They were all great perfection divine emperors. The elites of the heaven-devouring region were all here. Du Xing gripped his saber and said, "Domain Lord, they're here." Deputy Region Lord Zheng Xian is so pitiful. Amidst the sound of trees snapping, Zheng Xian was sent flying like a ball. His body smashed through dozens of trees before slamming into a stone wall, causing the entire mountain ridge to tremble. Zheng Xian's collision was truly tragic, but he had achieved his goal. Zhu Long was now standing in front of everyone. He stretched out his arms, and the 2 thin swords buzzed. Ancient Xian energy flowed rapidly. Zhu Long looked at the top of the hill and laughed. "I know there are helpers. Come out, let me see how strong the people of the heaven-devouring region are." Situ Yun's heart trembled. What an arrogant and unruly Zhu Long. He knew there was an ambush, but he still came. How confident was he in his own strength? Situ Yun reached to his waist, and suddenly a dazzling battle axe appeared in his hand. His face was full of smiles, and he said, "Then there's no need to hide. Go kill Zhu Long." When Situ Yun appeared in the air with the divine battle axe, Zhu Long was instantly stunned. "That's Gong Gong's axe. For you." "Ha, uncle, it's not easy to recognize Gong Gong's axe." Situ Yun laughed. Zhu Long frowned. "You're Gong Gong's son, Go Long? What do you think, uncle?" Situ Yun waved the battle axe in his hand, and his eyes were full of hatred. "Chiyu ordered you 4 ancestors to guard the original spirit, and now you've surrendered to a mortal boy like Lin Muyu. Uncle, you've really disappointed me." "You're really Go Long?" Zhulong's face was full of shock. Otherwise? Situ Yun's face was full of hatred. After my father died in battle, I was exiled to this barren land, changed my surname, and finally became a supreme being. I didn't expect that, uncle. The four of you would forget the teachings of Ancestor Chi Yu and be tamed by a little boy from the mortal world. Humph, you're the shame of the 12 ancestors, the shame of the 9 Li clan. Zhulong said coldly, since you're Go Long, you should surrender to the new clan leader with us. Lin Muyu has the supremacy and the star stone. She is the successor of Chi Yu and our new leader. Situ Yun smiled. Is that so? Then you'll have to ask my Gong Gong's axe and see if it agrees to uncle's request. Zhulong also smiled. Boy, since you're so stubborn, then I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your father. That's exactly what I wanted. Situ Yun brazenly descended from the sky while holding the Gong Gong axe with both of his hands. The entire sky was covered with frost, and the ice Xian power rushed towards the Gong Gong axe like a tidal wave. His momentum was extremely astonishing. Even Du Xing and the others had forgotten to take action. Very few people had seen Situ Yun take action, and they had never thought that once he took action, it would be so terrifying. Zhulong looked coldly at Situ Yun, who had jumped high in the sky, and didn't say anything. He waved his sword, and the space distorted, turning into a dimensional storm that rushed toward Situ Yun's axe. Bang! The earth shook, and with just one blow, the hill on the side had been completely shattered. The powerful destructive force swept through the surroundings, uprooting the trees in the jungle, and turning the cattail grass on the ground into powder. The strong storm blew around, and Du Xing and the others couldn't even open their eyes. In just a minute, Situ Yun had consecutively chopped the axe 9 times, and each chop was stronger than the previous one. The surrounding ground had become pale and frozen. When the wind dissipated, a glacier appeared on the ground out of thin air, and in the depths of the glacier, Zhulong was frozen motionless. 1. Du Xing was shocked. Situ Yun stood proudly in the air with the axe in his hand, without saying a word. There was no shadow. A wisp of blood-red light gradually penetrated through the small gap of the glacier and condensed into the shape of Zhulong. The illusion was not afraid of the attack of the frost. When Zhulong's body reformed, he took a deep breath and said, I didn't expect you to have mastered the 9 ice soul strikes. This is a unique skill that even your father couldn't master completely. You really are better than your father, but the 9 ice soul strikes still can't kill you. Situ Yun looked calm. Zhulong smiled faintly and said, yes, when your father was alive, he might not be my opponent, let alone a stupid boy like you. You ignored the instability of your foundation and forcibly broke through to the 97th heavenly cave, but so what? You are not my opponent. Admit defeat, I will spare your life since you are the descendant of the 12 ancestors of witches. My life doesn't need your forgiveness. Situ Yun smiled slightly and said, you'd better think about your own future. What? Zhulong was slightly shocked. In the air, Situ Yun once again raised his battle axe, and a stronger attack was coming. Zhulong quickly condensed the power of space, and his eyes were fixed on Situ Yun in the air, but at this moment, suddenly there was a sound of wind breaking. No, the real killer move was not from Situ Yun. A fiery red arrow instantly penetrated Zhulong's chest, and the golden arrow hit the ice with a ding sound and quickly melted. It was just an arrow in the form of energy. Zhulong looked up at the sky, and it was a young God Emperor realm expert, holding a fiery red longbow in his hand. It was the first-class divine artifact, Ho Yi Bao. Well done, Su Chuan. Situ Yun smiled slightly. The young man smiled faintly and said, thank you for the praise, Domain Lord. As soon as he finished speaking, he quickly pulled the bowstring again, and suddenly, a fiery sun-shooting arrow condensed on the bowstring, and with a whoosh, the arrow shot into Zhulong's shoulder the moment it left the bowstring. This was not a shooting because the arrow did not have a flight trajectory, and the moment it was shot, it had already hit the target. Wah! Zhulong groaned and blood spurted out wildly. The attack of Ho Yi Bao could not be avoided, he already understood. And who was the young man in the air? Was he the descendant of Zhulong? His appearance was somewhat similar to his. Puff puff puff. Several arrows were shot in succession, and Zhulong did not dodge any of them. His chest was already stained with blood, and each and every one of his wounds was shocking. "Uncle, it seems that I have to send you off." Situ Yun slowly landed, his face full of pride. Zhulong smiled faintly and said, "When I don't want to die, no one can kill me." "Is that so?" "Yes." Zhulong smiled bitterly, and his body suddenly began to fade, and his right arm slowly turned into particles of light that dissipated in the wind. He was about to escape with the wind. "You want to escape like this?" Situ Yun roared, and his left hand was like an eagle's claw, filled with divine power, and suddenly grabbed Zhulong's left arm and shouted, "Die for me, don't even think of escaping." However, the torch dragon's body disappeared like a pile of ashes. Gonggong raised his axe, and suddenly chopped on Zhulong's left arm, blood splattered, and a living arm was grabbed by Situ Yun, but Zhulong's body still dissipated with the wind. He was an expert in illusion, and just like what he said, when Zhulong did not want to die, no one could kill him. Damn it, he ran away. Situ Yun gritted his teeth. Du Xing and the others were dumbfounded, and did not know what to say. Although they were all god emperors, they might not be a match for Situ Yun even if they joined forces. And in the air, the young man holding Ho Yi Bao smiled and said, "Domain Lord, don't be angry. The destructive power of the sun-shooting arrow will make his wounds unable to heal. Even if Zhulong escapes, he will only be a cripple. And that's for the best." Situ Yun's eyes turned cold and said, "Immediately gather the people and attack the Fire Lion region." Chapter 1072. Under the starlight, a stream of fire shot into the castle of the Starfall domain, dragging a long blood-red tail. Late at night, the news of Zhulong's defeat spread throughout the Dragon League. In the side chamber's infirmary, Zhulong's horrifying injuries gave everyone a fright. He was lying on the bed with his entire left arm severed. His chest was covered in piercing wounds caused by sharp arrows. The wounds did not form scabs as blood flowed incessantly. Can he be saved? Lin Muyu glanced at Zhulong's wounds and gently placed her palm on his chest. Supreme divine power continuously poured into his body to heal him, but soon found that it had little effect. Zhulong struggled to push Lin Muyu's palm away. "Leader, it's useless. Our powers do not come from the same source. My bloodline comes from the Juli, and your power comes from Fushi." Gomong was very calm. "Zhulong, who beat you up like this? Is it someone from the heaven-devouring region?" "Damn, it's the heaven-devouring region again," Nangong Lai said angrily. "We should have wiped out the heaven-devouring region in one go. Don't be impulsive." Zhulong stopped Nangong Lai with a glance. "The heaven-devouring region is not as simple as you think. They have Gonggong Axe and Ho Yi Bao. Ahem, and the Lord of the Heaven-Devouring Region. Ahem, isn't the Lord of the Heaven-Devouring Region Situ Yun?" Tang Xiaoxi asked. "It's not that simple. He is Go Long, the son of Gonggong." "What?" Lin Muyu was shocked. "Situ Yun is Gonggong's son?" "That's right." Zhulong gasped. Gonggong Axe is extremely powerful, and Go Long's strength is far above his father's. It's not that easy to defeat Go Long. Moreover, there was a strange young man. He used Ho Yi Bao to attack me and seriously injured me. That's why I lost. Leader, you must be careful of that young man." "Young man? Ho Yi Bao?" Lin Muyu frowned. "I understand. Zhulong, what about your injuries?" Gomong narrowed his eyes and said, "The wounds inflicted by the Ho Yi Bao are unable to heal on their own. It's all thanks to Torch Dragon's powerful vitality, or he would have died from blood loss." "Is there any way to heal the Ho Yi Bao?" Lin Muyu asked. "There's only one way, dragon blood. The life force of a dragon is the strongest among the god-made creatures. Only by fusing with dragon blood can we stop the bleeding. Isn't Torch Dragon a dragon? In fact, he's a snake." Gomong touched his nose. Zhulong glared at him and said, "Chief, only the purest divine dragon blood can heal me." "That's not a problem. Bring me a cup." Lin Muyu walked out of the infirmary and summoned Acatosaurus with a wave of her hand. Suddenly, the wind and clouds surged, and Acatosaurus proudly emerged from the huge magic array. Its injuries had all healed, but when it met Lin Muyu's malicious gaze, it felt that something bad was about to happen. With a howl, it hid behind Qin Yin. Qin Yin couldn't help but laugh. She gently stroked its head and said, "It's fine, I just need a little bit of your blood." Acatosaurus was skeptical. Lin Muyu put the teacup on the ground, then with a clang, she pulled out the Xinyuan sword and stabbed it into the ground. She said, "Do it yourself, I only need a little bit of dragon blood." Only then did Acatosaurus shake its head and step forward. It rubbed its claws back and forth on the Xinyuan sword, causing sparks to burst out. The dragon armor was too hard, even with the Xinyuan sword's strength, it was difficult to break it. "Do you need my help?" Lin Muyu asked forcefully. Acatosaurus hurriedly shook its head and continued to use force, but the Xinyuan sword still couldn't break the dragon armor. Qin Yin smiled helplessly. Looking around and seeing that there was no one around, she said, "I can only rely on Xiaoxi." Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. "Huh? Rely on me for what?" Qin Yin chuckled and gently waved her palm towards the ground. Suddenly, a whirlwind rose. Coincidentally, Tang Xiaoxi was wearing a short skirt today. Under the whirlwind, the skirt fluttered, revealing her two well-proportioned, slender legs. The Acatosaurus also saw it, and for a moment, it howled miserably. Its nose started to bleed. Lin Muyu hurriedly held the wine cup and flew up to catch the dragon blood, while Tang Xiaoxi's face turned red. "Little Apple has learned bad things from Mu. Xiao Yin, why didn't you come?" "I didn't wear a skirt today, next time." Will there be a next time?" Yes. Qin Yin hurriedly comforted Tang Xiaoxi's agitated emotions, while Lin Muyu had already entered the infirmary to be treated. As soon as the dragon blood came in, the wound of the torch dragon began to slowly heal. The effect was very obvious, and in just a short period of time, the wound was almost completely healed. When the torch dragon sat up, Feng Zhanlin said, "Since the torch dragon ancestral shaman has recovered, shouldn't we immediately attack the Flaming Lion region? After all, we still have 2,000 or 3,000 troops there." "There's no need to go," Lin Muyu said. But Lin Muyu smiled helplessly. Since Situ Yun deliberately injured the torch dragon, he must have been prepared. The torch dragon has been flying for a long time, and the Flaming Lion region should have been breached long ago. In other words, our people have either been killed or surrendered. There won't be many who can escape. Nangong Lai's face was full of fighting spirit. "Alliance leader, are we just going to wait like this?" "Yes, let's just wait like this." Lin Muyu frowned. "This happened in the Flaming Lion region because of my poor arrangements, and I underestimated the heaven-devouring region. For now, we only need to guard the Fallen Star region, and don't act rashly. The more we stay quiet, the more the heaven-devouring region will not dare to act." "Yes, I understand." A day later, hundreds of people escaped from the direction of the Flaming Lion region, and most of the rest of the Dragon League troops had been captured. The Fallen Star region was in an uproar, and everyone believed that they should fight to the death with the heaven-devouring region. It was a good thing that morale was high, but the timing was not right. After Lin Muyu gave the order to stay put, the heaven-devouring dominion did not rush to deal with the Dragon League. A mere torch dragon was enough to make the heaven-devouring dominion send out all their elites, but there was more than one torch dragon in the meteorite dominion. Putting aside the 4 grand sorcerers, Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi were enough to make the heaven-devouring dominion wary. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed and nothing happened. Lin Muyu and the others continued to cultivate in the Cave of Gods and Demons. Bright moonlight shone on the surface of the Cave of Gods and Demons, and a late autumn snow fell on the 64 regions. Large snowflakes fluttered in the air. In a simple and crude straw hut on the surface, Lin Muyu lay on the meadow, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi leaned on her left and right. This was a temporary resting place outside the Cave of Gods and Demons. "I wonder how the Shattered Cauldron world is doing." Qin Yin looked into the distance. After all, she still had things to worry about. "Yes, I wonder how Sister Chu Yao and Brother Feng are doing." Lin Muyu sat up and hugged Qin Yin's shoulders. She smiled and said, "But don't worry, the Demon Emperor and Xiao will take care of the Shattered Cauldron world. Don't worry, nothing will happen." "Yes." Qin Yin nodded happily. At this moment, the most dangerous period had passed. If they could endure it back then, it was simply a kind of enjoyment now. At this moment, the ground suddenly buzzed and trembled. Beams of light seeped out from the ground on the snowy plains. The light was resplendent and extremely astonishing. An extremely strong power of light came from the depths of the ground, and it brought with it a familiar aura. It was Shi Yan's aura. She broke through. Lin Muyu clapped and said with a smile, "That's great, Sister Xian has finally broken through to the 80th level of the Grotto Heaven realm." "Really?" Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's eyes widened. From the entrance of the Cave of Gods and Demons, a figure floated out. It was Shi Yan, who was wielding the Qiyue sword. At this moment, Shi Yan looked in high spirits, and 6 wings naturally spread out behind her. She could now maintain the Blazing Angel's battle form for a long time. "How do you feel, Sister Xian?" Lin Muyu flew over and asked with a smile. Shi Yan tilted her head and looked at him. She said with a smile, "Brat, didn't you want me to help you destroy the heaven-devouring realm? Now I can fight 10,000 alone." Qin Yin chuckled. Lin Muyu was delighted. "That's great. Let's return to the Star region overnight and start gathering people. The day after tomorrow, we will directly attack the heaven-devouring realm's headquarters and destroy its foundation." "Yes." The next day, Lin Muyu issued a gathering order. Members of the Dragon League surged from all directions. On the 3rd day, before dawn, the mighty army of more than 10,000 Dragon League soldiers went straight to the heaven-devouring realm. Before noon, they arrived at the heaven-devouring realm. War drums thundered, and the army of the heaven-devouring realm was already ready. Lin Muyu floated up the mountain ridge and looked into the distance. The heaven-devouring realm's army was overwhelming on the plains in front of her. In terms of numbers, the heaven-devouring realm was firmly above the Dragon League. Banners fluttered in the air, and with a large number of servants, there were at least 100,000 people on the plains, waiting to fight the Dragon League. The battle between the two sides was originally a collision of strength. There were no fancy tricks. "Wow, so many people!" Feng Zhanlin exclaimed. Nangong Lai, on the other hand, rubbed his palms and smiled. "I have waited for this day for too long. Finally, I can kill a lot of people." Tang Xiaoxi squinted her eyes and asked with a smile, "Mu, do you want to set up a formation? This is a war between gods. What's the use of a formation?" Lin Muyu chuckled. "But we still need a formation. Order everyone to spread out on the plains, and prepare for the decisive battle with the heaven-devouring realm." Dong, dong, dong. The Dragon League set up dozens of drums on the hills, and the drumming never stopped. One by one, the immortal state experts crossed the mountains and appeared in the vision of the people of the heaven-devouring realm. In terms of military strategy, the celestial race army of the Dragon League came from the south, and the people of the heaven-devouring realm had to face the blazing sun. This was the advantage of military strategy. In fact, most of the participants' battlefield was not on the ground, but in the sky. As the two armies were at each other's throats, Lin Muyu flew to the camp of the heaven-devouring realm with the Xianyuan sword in her hand. She raised her long sword and said, "Situ Yun, come out and talk." The formation separated, and Situ Yun came out with a battle axe in his hand. He smiled and said, "It's an honor to meet you, Leader Lin." Chapter 1073. It's not too late for you to change your allegiance now. Ha, what a joke. There is only one master of the 64 domains. Why should it be the Dragon League? Situ Yun's face was cold, and the axe in his hand was glowing. "I've been planning for thousands of years, and now I've finally gathered the Gong Gong axe, the Ho Yi Bao, and the Zhu Rong Bao. Come at me if you have the ability." Situ Yun spoke with great confidence, and the divine army of the devouring sky domain was ready to go. Lin Muyu squinted and searched for a long time, but she couldn't find the Ho Yi Bao, let alone the legendary young man. But she had to find him. The Ho Yi Bao could injure Candle Dragon, which meant it could injure anyone in the Dragon League. This bow was the most dreaded existence in the Dragon League. Lin Muyu, you and I are the real masters of the Dragon League and the Devouring Sky domain. Do you have the guts to fight me? Situ Yun held the axe and said with a smile, the gods have the virtue of cherishing life. Look at the countless cultivators behind us. They understand the wonders of heaven and earth, absorb the spirits of all living things, and finally cultivate the way of heaven. If we let them fight each other, blood will inevitably flow. Instead of that, why don't you and I have a duel, and the loser will surrender to the other? What do you think? Lin Muyu frowned and didn't speak. Behind her, Tang Xiaoxi said loudly, Mu, don't believe his nonsense. Gomeng also said in a low voice, Leader, this guy is just looking for an opportunity to use the Ho Yi Bao to injure you. Go Long is a dishonest villain. You can't trust him. Qin Yin held the Dong Hua sword and looked at the back of Lin Muyu, but she didn't speak. She knew that Lin Muyu must have a plan. Sure enough, after a long silence, Lin Muyu looked up at Situ Yun and said, Is this true? All right. Lin Muyu's eyes turned cold, and suddenly a layer of golden luster covered her body. She immediately stepped into the immortal golden body realm, and her domain spread out in all directions. Her voice was contained in the domain, and she said in a clear voice, People of the heaven-devouring domain, listen up. The only purpose of the Dragon League is to unify the 64 domains, not to kill people. In the battle between me and Situ Yun, no matter who loses, they must surrender to the other, otherwise, they will suffer the wrath of heaven. Feng Zhanlin, Nengong Lai, Ling Songhan, and the others raised their weapons and shouted, Long live the Dragon League! Long live the Alliance Chief! Everyone in the heaven-devouring realm had their own thoughts. They were not as united as the members of the Dragon League. After all, most of them had been defeated by the heaven-devouring realm, and they had never been loyal to the heaven-devouring realm or Situ Yun. Now that Lin Muyu and Situ Yun decided to decide the fate of the 64 realms in a decisive battle, they all approved of it. After all, ending the war without too many casualties was what everyone wanted. Snowflakes began drifting around Situ Yun. Streams of ice power coiled around his body, and the gong axe in his hand buzzed. His eyes were filled with a faint intent of killing as he said, Alliance Chief Lin, are you ready? Yes, come on. With the Shenyuan sword held horizontally, Lin Muyu gave a low shout, and golden elephant wheels appeared indistinctly around him. At this moment, Shi Yan's voice rang in his ears, I've found the wielder of the Hoi Bao. He's an extremely powerful divine emperor with dual laws of fire and space. Are you really confident that your immortal golden body can withstand the first shot of the Hoi Bao? Yes, but I may not be able to take the second arrow. Sister Xian, you have to finish him quickly. Yes, don't worry. Just fight. Situ Yun laughed out loud. Treading on the ice constellation, Situ Yun dashed towards Lin Muyu. His axe was wrapped in icy light, as if it carried all the power of the snow in the sky. It was the first move of the Ice Spirit 9 strikes from Gong, Flying Snow Blade. At the moment when Gong's axe chopped down, streams of ice and snow in the air also turned into ice blades, striking towards Lin Muyu. It was not just one attack, but thousands of attacks in an instant. The Shenyuan sword in Lin Muyu's hand shone brightly, and streams of green vines rose from the surroundings, flying towards Gong's axe. The chaos of all lives. Countless green vines, trees, human figures, and other kinds of Xian power collided with the ice blade. With a loud clang, the Shenyuan sword and Gong axe were separated from each other as soon as they touched each other. Waves of air swept out in all directions. Situ Yun gripped Gong's axe with both of his hands. He only felt a numbing power seeping into his arms, and a faint swelling pain. This kid was so powerful, his strength had actually reached such a level. Moreover, Situ Yun also discovered that Lin Muyu had actually blocked his attack with only one hand. If she had held the sword with both hands, how powerful would it be? Good. Situ Yun said, good, 3 times in a row. The power in his arms soared, and an astonishing cold stream instantly gushed out from behind him. A large group of God Realm experts from the heaven-devouring territory hurriedly stepped back. If they were a little bit slower, they would have been frozen into ice bricks. How could Situ Yun's divine power be blocked by ordinary gods? The cold stream lingered around the axe like a wind. Situ Yun directly jumped from the first move of the Ice Spirit 9 strikes to the third move, Ice Spirit Cold Wind. This was an attack with the power of the law of wind, and it had to be guarded against. Lin Muyu could feel the majestic power contained in this attack. After all, Situ Yun was a 97th heavenly abode god emperor. In terms of divine power, it was still at least 50% higher than Lin Muyu's divine power. Situ Yun was destined to be unable to block the first few attacks of the 7 luminaries' dark force. In for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound, in for a pound. Raging flames quickly lingered on both of his arms. 5 elements, 8 wastelands destruction. The shapeless elephant spell silently operated, absorbing the surrounding power of heaven and earth to enhance the power of the 5 elements, 8 wastelands destruction. Lin Muyu was only at the 87th heavenly abode god realm, so she had to use all kinds of means to challenge someone of a higher realm. Come on! Situ Yun roared, and the gong gong axe attacked with the cold wind. Boom! In the air, the cold stream and the raging flames collided, and the two completely different forces engulfed each other. The sound of the explosion continued, and the whole sky was dyed red by the energy explosion. Lin Muyu's arm was numb, and she couldn't help but withdraw the long sword. Her body twisted in the whirlwind and instantly retreated nearly 100 meters. Her arm was slightly trembling, and there were actually streaks of blood flowing down from it. Situ Yun was not much better. He gave up all defense and attacked. While breaking the defense of the immortal golden body and injuring Lin Muyu, there were also 2 sword wounds on his chest that were so deep that the bone could be seen. There was no doubt that both of them were risking their lives. Yu Long stood in the air, frowning and said, "Bad? How bad?" Gomang and Dijiang asked at the same time. Zhu Long squinted his eyes and said, "Go Long didn't use all his strength in the battle with me." What? He hid his strength? Gomang was shocked. Yes, this kid. He has mastered the 9 ice soul strikes, and I'm afraid his strength is already above the 4 great witches. I know the strength of the leader very well. The power of the 5th star can only be tied with the 3rd attack of the 9 ice soul strikes. I'm afraid that once Situ Yun uses the 9th attack, the leader will not be able to resist it. Gomang squinted his eyes and didn't say a word. At this time, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had already approached Lin Muyu from both sides. They were about 200 meters away from each other, which was a distance that they could cover in an instant. They were ready to help at any time. At the same time, Zheng Xian, Du Xing, and the other experts from the Devouring Sky territory also approached quietly. They were ready to fight Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi at any time. With a roar, Situ Yun injected all his divine power into the battle axe, and ice cones began to grow under his feet. In the blink of an eye, the ice cones rushed to the ground, and a large glacier was slowly forming. The 5th attack of the 9 ice soul strikes, 1,000 miles frozen river. That powerful power was surging, and even Lin Muyu, who was used to the extremely cold temperature in the cave of gods and demons, felt very uncomfortable. Xian Yuan's sword was buzzing, and a golden ribbon appeared and lingered around Lin Muyu. The divine weapon had begun to protect its master with its own power. Lin Muyu held the sword with both hands, and as she silently circulated her power, streams of star power condensed into an armor behind her. This was the 4th move of the star scripture, the Star Lotus Armor. The moment the Star Lotus Armor was condensed, a dense cold air spread out. The 5th move, the Star Lotus Armor. He had to continuously use the 2 ultimate moves of the star scripture to fight against Situ Yun's strength. In the distance, Shi Yan's pair of beautiful eyes were looking at the battlefield, and she couldn't help but sigh. Situ Yun was not simple. With his cultivation, he could be ranked in the top 10 in any divine realm. Even in the Western divine realm, except for the ruler and the 2 blazing angels, no one could reach Situ Yun's level. However, Situ Yun's opponent was Lin Muyu, who was also a rare genius. She was blessed with a supreme godhead, and had comprehended the immortal golden body. Otherwise, if it were someone else, they would have already been defeated. Take this! Situ Yun roared as he slashed out with his battle axe. Suddenly, numerous icicles rose from the ground and continuously bombarded Lin Muyu's domain. At the same time, Gong Gong's axe shone with a cold light as it smashed through the wall of the gourd that Lin Muyu had condensed and went straight towards his neck. Lin Muyu shouted, and the golden seven luminaries' immortal sword martial soul penetrated through her arms and into the Xian Yuan sword. Suddenly, the dark blue jade snow ice turned golden and whizzed forward. Boom! The icicles shattered, and the domain exploded. The sound of the explosion was endless. The ice and frost in the air formed a thick curtain of snow, making people unable to see the figures of the two people clearly. They could only see the splashing golden light, and the two people had already started fighting again in the snow curtain. At this moment, in the crowd of the heaven-devouring domain, a young man looked at the snow curtain with burning eyes. He gently swung the longbow in his hand, and instantly shot an arrow. Swoosh! The arrow light disappeared into the snow curtain. With a muffled groan, someone was hit by the arrow. Without a doubt, this was the voice of Lin Muyu. Now is the time. When the young man pulled the bowstring and prepared for the second shot, suddenly a mighty divine power appeared above his head. There, the beautiful figure of the blazing angel suddenly appeared, broke through the blockade of tens of thousands of experts in the heaven-devouring domain, broke through the four-dimensional space, and the Qi sword blazed, just like the eyes of Shi Yan. Chapter 1074. Accomplice to the evil, die. The blazing moon sword fell from the sky. Shi Yan's attack was powerful, and she directly used the seventh strike of Shi Yan's seven strikes, God Slaying. This young man was none other than Su Chuan, one of the top 5 experts in the heaven-devouring territory, the 93rd heavenly cave. He was also the person that Situ Yun relied on the most. Otherwise, he would not have given him such an important sneak attack mission. Unfortunately, Situ Yun and Su Chuan did not expect Shi Yan's breakthrough and the rapid recovery of the blazing angel's power. He hurriedly raised the Ho-E bow and used the bow made of divine iron to block the blazing moon sword. Clang! How could he block it? The blazing moon sword slashed down with the Ho-E bow. Poochie! Blood splattered everywhere. Shi Yan's attack was fast and ruthless. It entered Su Chuan's neck and came out from his waist, instantly splitting him into two. At the same time, she reached out and grabbed the Ho-E bow. This longbow could instantly kill a target regardless of the flying trajectory. It could not be left in the hands of the opponent. Su Chuan is dead. Su Chuan is dead. The people of the heaven-devouring region were shocked. Du Xing and Jing Xian were even more shocked. Shi Yan suddenly raised the blood-stained blazing moon sword and pointed it at the people. This person used a bow and arrow to attack, destroying the fair competition. Damn it! No one is allowed to act rashly, or you will end up like him. Facing the domineering blazing angel, who dared to move? Everyone knew Su Chuan's strength very well. Even Su Chuan could not withstand a single strike, let alone the others. At this time, a figure fell from the sky. It was Lin Muyu. A bloody light appeared on his shoulder. It was the penetrating wound of the Ho-E bow. It was very serious. In the air, a silhouette immediately rushed down like a thunderbolt. It was Situ Yun, who was holding the Gong Gong axe. His face was stained with blood. It seemed as if his cheek had been hit by a sword. His skin and flesh had been split open. It was very frightening, and blood was flowing out unceasingly. He fiercely swung the axe and roared, "I will kill you! Alliance Master is in danger." Feng Zhanlin was shocked and drew his sword to help. On the other hand, Nangong Lai was much calmer. He suddenly pressed down on Feng Zhanlin's shoulder. "Wait, the Alliance Master will not be defeated so easily." Sure enough, just as the Gong Gong axe was about to hack down, Lin Muyu suddenly opened her eyes. Her body slightly bounced in the air, with a golden light and shadow. Her palm cleverly avoided the sharp edge of the Gong Gong axe and grabbed the handle of the Gong Gong axe. Borrowing the force from the air, Her right hand that was holding the Shenyuan sword produced a series of golden elephant wheels, and fiercely smashed the hilt of the sword onto Situ Yun's chest. Bang! 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 Situ Yun was smashed to the point that he spat out a mouthful of blood. It was obviously a competition between two masters, but Lin Muyu's fighting style instantly changed from a confrontation of moves to a street fight. How could Situ Yun accept this? Both of them were grandmasters. Get lost. Situ Yun, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, roared, and used the power of the frost domain to blast Lin Muyu's body apart. Indeed, in terms of strength, Situ Yun was indeed above Lin Muyu. But in Lin Muyu's eyes, Situ Yun saw a bit of ridicule. Not good. Situ Yun was shocked, but it was already too late. Behind him, two blazing lights attacked. Two very burning divine powers were Qin Yin's Dong Hua sword and Tang Xiaoxi's Dig spear. Boom! The god wall completely collapsed. Qin Yin turned her wrist, and the Dong Hua sword pierced through Situ Yun's abdomen. Tang Xiaoxi turned her palm, and the blazing firefox seal blasted toward Situ Yun's cheek. As the saying goes, when you hit someone, don't hit his face. But in Tang Xiaoxi's dictionary, there seemed to be no such sentence. Oh, that's right, she didn't have a dictionary at all. Why? Situ Yun roared and waved the gong axe randomly, but every time he missed. He was already seriously injured, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were in their peak state. In the sky, a cold light fell down. Bang! Situ Yun's body fell to the ground. The wound on Lin Muyu's shoulder was still bleeding, but she could only vent all her hatred on Situ Yun for being pierced by the Ho Yi Bao. Lin Muyu's knee was pressed against Situ Yun's chest. He raised his hand and punched a few times. His fists were not simple. A golden elephant will was wrapped around his wrist, just like a gorgeous watch, but the attack power was also very terrifying. After a few punches, Situ Yun's face was beyond recognition, and even his teeth were blown away. Situ Yun probably didn't expect this result, and he didn't expect that Lin Muyu could actually resist his Ice Soul 9 strikes. If not, the result would be completely different. Leader, please be lenient, please spare his life. Gomang descended from the sky and said, in the end, Go Long is still the successor of our Jiuli clan. Even if he made a mistake, there is no need to kill him. Let me take care of him for the time being. Gomang, are you not afraid that he will bite back? No. Gomang opened his palm, and suddenly, a white dragon rushed out. It was Gomang's pet. However, the white dragon quickly turned into a white vine, and one end of it wrapped around Situ Yun's neck. The needles on the vine pierced into Situ Yun's body and blocked the meridians in his neck. In this way, he couldn't even breathe. The white dragon rope is indestructible. Even if it was an ancient god, once he was imprisoned, he would not be able to escape. Leader, rest assured, I will slowly tame this evil creature. Then I will leave it to Senior Gomang. Lin Muyu grabbed the white dragon rope and pulled Situ Yun's body up from the ground. She flew up into the sky and said in a loud voice, Everyone in the heaven-devouring region, look carefully. Situ Yun has been subdued by me. Immediately put down your weapons or else I will kill you. The leader of the heaven-devouring region, the strongest person in the 64 regions, was actually held like a chicken in her hand. Who could believe it? However, the fact in front of them was irrefutable. The people of the heaven-devouring region were dumbfounded. Lin Muyu smiled and said, Of course, there is one person who cannot be pardoned. Sister Xian, help me kill him. Shi Yan's figure flashed, and suddenly, a person knelt on the ground. There was a bloody hole in his chest and blood gushed out. It was Jing Xian, an 88th level Grotto Heaven expert, but he could not even take a single blow from Shi Yan. Moreover, he did not even know how Shi Yan attacked. It was too fast. Lin Muyu was also shocked. If Shi Yan recovered her 99th level Grotto Heaven, it would be terrible. Clang! No one knew who was the first to throw down his weapon. More and more experts of the heaven-devouring region put down their weapons and knelt on one knee. They hurriedly said, We are willing to submit to Alliance Leader Lin and join the Dragon League. Feng Zhan Lin and Nangong Lai looked at each other and smiled. The 64 regions were finally unified. No one thought it would be so easy. Lin Muyu handed Situ Yun to Gomong. There was a lot of talent in the heaven-devouring region. Together with the strength of the Dragon League, there were nearly 50,000 immortal state experts. Most of these people were arrogant and unruly, and they needed to be rearranged. This was not a small amount of work. Fortunately, there was no leader. With the deterrence of the power of Lin Muyu, Shi Yan, Qin Yin, and the others, the people of the heaven-devouring region did not have the courage to resist. The unification of the 64 regions by the Dragon League had become a fait accompli. Late at night, in the hall of the heaven-devouring region, Lin Muyu, who had finished healing, used her divine will to contact Xiao. At this time, in the hall of the East Heaven, there was an endless quarrel. Since we want to fight the Western Divine Realm, then let's fight. However, the Western Divine Realm still has an army of more than 100,000 angels. The angels scattered in various planes have also begun to gather. It is not as simple as we think. As for us, we only have 80,000 soldiers. Even if our individual combat power is stronger than the angel army, after the battle, Dong Ming in the Northern Heaven Realm is ready to make a move. Once Yangshang and Dong Han's army of 160,000 are dispatched, the foundation of the entire East Heaven will be turned upside down. With that, he flipped his palm at the 7 luminaries demon emperor. See, this is how it will turn the sky upside down. All the beautiful goddesses in the spiritual mountain will be finished. The 7 luminaries demon emperor frowned. In that case, are we not going to fight the Western Divine Realm? Recently, that idiot Claude has been jumping around a lot. Xiao said, we still have to fight. If we don't fight the Western Divine Realm, the Western Divine Realm will definitely attack us. Qin Ping smiled. Sister Xiao, it's easy for you to say. How can we have so many troops? After Sun Feng goes out to battle, I'm afraid that there won't be anyone left to defend the Eastern Heaven Realm. Could it be that the Demon Emperor alone is enough? Xiao pursed her red lips and said, in the end, it is still the problem of the Northern Heaven Realm. How about, we go to the Northern Heaven Realm again and make an alliance with the God King Dong Ming, then attack the Western Divine Realm? I'm afraid this is the only way. Sun Feng said. At this moment, a beam of light fell in the hall and condensed into the appearance of Lin Muyu. What's wrong? They seem to be quarreling. Lin Muyu was confused. No. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao explained together with a smile. Lin Muyu said, Sister Xiao, have you finished what I asked you to do? Opening the passage between the ancient mystery realm and the God realm will take at least 30 minutes. Xiao was stunned. Why are you in such a hurry? The Northern Heaven will needs to replenish its divine power. I'm currently looking for spiritual energy materials. Don't be anxious. I can't be anxious. I have already unified the 64 domains. Ah? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's jaw almost dropped. So fast? It's only been a few days. Indeed, I have unified them. Now that more than 50,000 God Realm experts in the 64 domains are under my control, they might all leave the 64 domains and come to the God Realm. That's great. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor laughed heartily. I need a force like this to fight against the Northern God Realm. Lin Muyu glared at him and said, I'm not looking for these troops to fight for you. No matter what, I have to settle the war in the Shattered Cauldron Realm first. All right, whatever you say. Lin Muyu asked again, Sister Xiao, how long will it take? About 3 months. Doesn't that mean I have to stay in the 64 domains for another 3 years? Yes, that's about it. Damn, then hurry up. Everyone, continue arguing. I'm leaving first. Lin Muyu waved her cloak and disappeared. She came and went quickly. Sun Feng and Qing Ping were confused. Are we still arguing? What are you arguing about? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor stood up. Help Xiao gather spiritual energy materials and strengthen the Northern Heaven Wheel's divine power. We will discuss the war after you returns. Chapter 1075. Heaven's Pole Continent, 12th of June. The scorching summer sun scorched the earth like burning charcoal. The entire Eastcom city was like a charcoal stove. The streets and alleys were filled with peddlers selling ice cubes. These ice cubes were harvested from snowy mountains, and each of them was sold for a sky-high price of 1 silver coin. Probably only the rich people in Eastcom City could afford them. Eastcom City, a city that had been baptized by wind and frost, was very leisurely. The Tianji Empire's emperor, Dark North, did not send any generals to guard Eastcom City again. Instead, he bestowed the city to Radiant Angel Midnight as his fief. All he had to do was pay taxes on time. As a result, Eastcom City had become Midnight's private territory. In the provincial capital, there were many guards. Huge dragons with iron chains in their mouths flew down from their lair, swaying their huge tails to be fed by humans. The dragon lair stood tall in the city, becoming a landmark of Eastcom City. Deep in the mansion, Midnight, who was dressed in luxurious clothes, was playing checkers with another strength angel, Mach. They were playing the Western Divine Realms checkers, while Dora stood guard at the side with a sword in hand. Any news from the Divine Realm? Midnight asked. Not yet, Honorable Envoy. Dora thought for a while and continued, Lord Ruler hasn't given any orders for half a year. The last order was for Lord Envoy to guard the Heavens Pole continent and defend against the Shattered Cauldron Realm's attack. Is there any news from Lord Eva? No, Lord Eva is with Lord Ruler. She's still in the Western Divine Realm. Midnight looked up at the sky outside the skylight and said, I wonder what Lord Ruler plans to do next. The remaining people in the Heavens Pole continent are gradually losing strength. In a few more years, perhaps even the Shattered Cauldron Realm's Feng Jixing, Tang Xiaoxi, Wei Chou, and the others won't be able to be underestimated. Dora smiled faintly. Lord Envoy, there's no need to worry about those people. After all, they're gods from the mortal realm. They haven't received the blessings of the divine realm, nor have they seen the greatness of the power of laws. No matter how strong they are, their power is limited. Lord Envoy, please rest assured. Lord Envoy, the ruler won't abandon loyal servants like us. Yes, I hope so. Zai lowered his head and looked at the chessboard again. He raised his hand and took one of Mach's stones. He smiled and said, Lord Mach, I didn't expect you to still lose by one move. Mach smiled in amazement. I can't help but admire you. Your chess skills are indeed exquisite and admirable. Shall we play another round? All right. Eastcom City remained quiet until late at night. 3 dragon knights patrolled the city on their giant dragons. This was the rule of Eastcom City. After all, there were more and more godly realm experts on the continent. Only the dragon knights could fight them. It was a starry night, and starlight shone on the ground. This was the favorite time for the Western Divine Realms angels to cultivate. The starlight was very cold, completely different from the heat of the sun. In order to have great achievements in the laws of light, one had to be well versed in the 2 different powers of light, scorching and cold. In the provincial capital's altar, Midnight stood proudly in the center, absorbing the light of the stars in the sky. Mach stood further away. As for Dora, she led hundreds of guards further away on guard. Unknowingly, Dora had already become the person in charge of Eastcom Province's military power. Midnight and Mach weren't passionate about power, but Dora was passionate about it. Without a doubt, this resulted in such a situation. Zai raised his elegant neck, exuding an extraordinary aura. He felt the power of the stars in the sky, as well as the charm of the celestial pole continent, which was rich in spiritual power. After an unknown period of time, a ripple suddenly surged in the sky. Zai couldn't help but frown. It seemed that someone was coming. What's wrong, Lord Zai? Mach asked from afar. Zai shook his head. I don't know what happened. It seems to be an illusion. It seems like a god has descended. The Western Divine Realm has sent more troops? Mach was somewhat happy. Zai frowned. The source of divine power doesn't come from the Western Divine Realm, but from the Northern Divine Realm. Not good. Mach, be careful. Someone really is coming, and they don't come with good intentions. In the sky, a wisp of divine power approached at an astonishing speed. Soon, a visible ball of flames descended from the sky like a meteor, smashing straight in Zai's direction. Be asterisk starred. Zai roared, raised his sword, and swept out a majestic pattern of light. Boom! Amidst the explosion, half of the altar's formation was destroyed. Zai retreated miserably and fell into the rubble. There was a large hole in front of him, and there was even a crack on Zai's sword. This was the sword of light forged by the Western Divine Realm, and it was actually broken with just a simple attack? As Zai looked on as if he was facing a great enemy, a person walked out of the deep hole in front of him, his steps steady. It was a young man with a smile on his face. In his hand was a saber surrounded by flames, and his body was bathed in flames. He seemed to be enjoying it very much. He smiled and said, "You can actually take one of my attacks. The radiant angel of the Western Divine Realm is indeed not simple." Zai's whole body trembled. The opponent's power was definitely above his, and it was a lot higher. "Who are you?" Zai desperately tried to calm down. The person smiled, held his saber horizontally, and said, "The person who is about to take over the entire celestial pole continent." Who exactly are you?" Zai gripped his sword tightly, and all the light divine power in his body burst out. He knew that if he couldn't block any of this person's next attacks, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. His opponent's killing intent was already surging, and he didn't hide it at all. "It doesn't matter if I tell you." The person casually rested the saber on his shoulder and said with a smile, "One of the two great marshals under the Northern Divine Realm's Divine King Dongming, Yangsheng. Don't tell me that a radiant angel like you doesn't know about the alliance between the Northern Divine Realm and the Western Divine Realm? The Celestial Pole continent is already under the jurisdiction of the Northern Divine Realm. This time, I came to inspect the territory." The corner of Zai's mouth twitched and he said, "So it's Marshal Yangsheng. If that's the case, I can return to the Western Divine Realm to hand in my orders. Marshal Yangsheng, please take over the Celestial Pole continent." Unexpectedly, Yangsheng raised his eyebrows and said, "No, you can't leave." Zai was shocked. A cold smile flitted across the corner of Yangsheng's mouth, and he said, "As the saying goes, the voice seizes the person. The Northern Divine Realm has never had any foundation in the Celestial Pole continent. If I don't kill a ruler with enough power, how can I make the continent submit to the Northern Divine Realm? Thank you for your hard work. What's your name, Radiant Angel?" Zai gritted his teeth. At this time, Mach had already arrived beside Zai, and the long sword in his hand burst with a cold light. He said, "Lord Zai, we are both perfect God Emperors. Let's fight him to the death. I don't believe that two four-winged angels can't kill a barbarian from the Northern Divine Realm." "Oh, so your name is Zai?" Yangsheng laughed loudly. "I'll take your heads. Just because you called me a barbarian, I'll make sure you die without a complete corpse." Zai gripped his long sword tightly, and a sharp light burst out of his eyes. "Fight!" Boom boom boom. Fire and light blossomed in the center of the altar, and the earth rumbled. "Not good, something has happened to the holy altar." Dora was shocked, and he whistled into the air, "Dragon Knights, reinforce the holy altar. Guards, follow me and kill our way over." Most of these guards were equipped with demon heart arrows and demonic crystal crossbows, and they were quite a threat to God Realm experts. This was where Dora was smart, and he would make use of whatever he could. He would not do anything that would cost him nothing. Torches lit up the surroundings, and when Dora led a group of soldiers to kill their way over to the holy altar, they discovered that the holy altar had already been razed to the ground. Amidst the flames that filled the sky, an imposing man could be seen holding a head in his hand. That head looked familiar, and it was none other than the head of the radiant angel Zai. Even his divine essence had been stolen. The man stepped on another corpse and pulled out a bitingly cold flaming war blade from the corpse. Blood splattered everywhere, and that corpse was none other than the strength angel Mach. The light from the four wings behind Mach was slowly dissipating. Once an angel died, the power of the blessing would leave their body. "Lord Zai." "Lord Mach." Dora's eyes widened in disbelief. Everyone thought that Zai was the strongest god in the entire celestial pole continent, and even the shattered cauldron realm, but just now, he and Mach had still been killed. The man walked over with Zai's head in his hand, and his eyes were like torches as he stared at Dora. He said in a low but powerful voice, "Kneel." "What?" Dora's body trembled. "I order you to kneel." The man's voice became a notch heavier. "I, kneel. Pay your respects to your new master." The man's voice was incomparably deep. Dora's entire body trembled, and the group of soldiers behind him could not withstand such pressure. One by one, they all knelt down. Dora resisted for about half a minute, and finally his knees gave way, and he slowly knelt down. The man smiled. "That's more like it. Your new master comes from the northern god realm, and he is one of the two great marshals of the god realm. His name is Yangsheng. Remember this well, for the rest of your lives, you will be loyal to this name." Dora slowly said, "Yes, Marshal Yangsheng. What's your name?" Yangsheng raised his eyebrows and asked. "Dora. My name is Dora. I am a black-winged battle angel from the Western Divine Realm. From today onwards, you are no longer a citizen of the Western Divine Realm." Yangsheng stared at her coldly. "You are a citizen of the Northern God Realm, so you are one of my Yangshengs. Do you understand?" "I will." Dora knelt on the ground and lowered her head. "Raise your head. Let me see your face," Yangsheng said. "Yes." Dora raised her head. Yangsheng gave her a dry smile and said, "Do you want to live?" "There is a rule in our Northern God Realm. If you want a woman to be loyal to you, you must first turn her into your woman. Do you understand this principle?" Yangsheng's eyes burned with passion. The corner of Dora's mouth curled up slightly. "I understand." Chapter 1076. In the depths of the mansion in the provincial capital, the red curtains fluttered gently. The sound of breathing grew heavier. Finally, after a deep sigh, Yangsheng poured his passion into Dora's body. After everything was over, Dora continued to sit on Yangsheng's body. She seemed reluctant to leave. While embracing him, she lazily rested her exquisite upper body on Yangsheng's chest. "Marshal, are you comfortable?" she asked softly. Yangsheng stroked her hair and smiled. "You torturous little vixen." Dora smiled. Her smile was extremely sweet. "Why are you willing to submit to me so quickly? You should know that Zai and Mach wouldn't submit to me even if they had to risk their lives," Yangsheng said softly. Dora smiled faintly and looked meaningfully at Yangsheng. "I'm of lowly birth. In the Western Divine Realm, I'm just cannon fodder. The ruler has never cared about the lives of people like me. If he really cared, he would have ordered us to return to the God Realm long ago. He wouldn't have stayed here to wait for you to take our lives." Yangsheng sneered. "So that's how it is. You're willing to submit to me because Claude is using you? How do you know I'm not using you?" Dora sat up and flipped her hair. She looked rather lazy. "The marshal just said." "What did he say?" "Comfortable. That's enough." "Huh." Yangsheng couldn't help but laugh. In the blink of an eye, he regained his masculinity. Dora couldn't help but moan. Her body leaned back slightly, and her two perky breasts ruffled in the wind. Yangsheng held her waist and swayed again. He liked this kind of woman. She didn't hide it. Dora snorted as he said, "The marshal killed Zai and Mach. The two of them are the highest authorities in East Com province. The news has already spread. Tomorrow, everyone in the imperial capital will know that East Com City has fallen into the marshal's hands. That Emperor, Dark North Abyss, isn't a pushover. He'll definitely send an army." "Marshal?" Yangsheng swayed her slender waist as he said in a low voice, "You don't need to worry at all. What does a mere human army count for? This old man's Northern Divine Realm army is already in the midst of preparations. Tomorrow morning, 10,000 advanced troops of the god race will arrive at the heavenly pole continent. You don't need to worry about anything else. Tomorrow morning, all you need to do is dress up properly and follow me to welcome the God Race Army." 10,000 God Race Army. Dora hesitated, then her face filled with joy. She said, "Marshal, Don't forget me, Marshal. But I want revenge. Revenge? Yes, back then. That bitch Sheen took almost everything from me. I want revenge. I want to cut off Sheen's head, Lin Muyu's and Tang Xiaoxi's heads to vent my hatred. Who's Sheen? Qin Yin. Yang Shang gave her a heavy pat and said, Don't worry, Lin Muyu and Qin Yin are also people I want to kill. They won't be able to escape. When my vanguard arrives, I'll let you personally command a portion of them. If possible, I'll let you personally take revenge. Thank you, Marshal. But, damn, this feels great. The next day, Dora woke up early in the morning. She put on a long dress and looked like a fairy. However, no one knew how much filth was hidden in her body. Dora didn't care at all. If she could take revenge, what was the big deal about selling her body? Besides, her body was just a bag of skin. Why should she care about it? Eastcom City originally had a garrison of 30,000. Most of them had already fled, leaving only a few hundred to follow Dora. The city gates opened. Dora rode a fine horse and walked out of Eastcom City alongside Yangsha. Behind them was a mighty garrison of several hundred people. The citizens of the city watched from afar. Many of them knew Dora. This woman, who often went in and out of the city, had an extremely high status in the army. She wasn't inferior to Mok. Everyone arrived at the open space outside the city. Yang Shang rode his horse at the front. Seeing the doubts on everyone's faces, he couldn't help but laugh loudly. When the rolling flames from the sky land on this land, it means that the celestial army has arrived. We will conquer this land with steel blades and iron swords, letting the people know who the gods they should worship are. As he spoke, Yang Shang suddenly pulled out his saber, Emperor Flame, and pointed it at the sky. Immediately, strands of flames soared into the sky. Under Yang Shang's stirring, strands of flames soared into the sky. It was as if the sky had been torn open. In the blink of an eye, a huge black hole appeared above everyone's heads. Yang Shang shouted in a deep voice, "Come down!" A strand of flames shot down from the black space, followed by a second, a third, and more. Tens of thousands of meteorite-like objects fell from the sky and smashed into the ground outside Eastcom City. When the dust and flames slowly dissipated, the celestial race army wearing golden armor could be seen standing proudly on this piece of land. They were well-trained and were very different from the scattered gods in the heaven realm. Very quickly, they formed into square formations. Each square formation had 400 people. There was a total of 25 square formations. They walked over uniformly and instantly knelt down together. Their voices echoed in the air, "Greetings, Marshal." It wasn't just Dora, everyone else was stunned as well. This kind of battle formation was simply too shocking. No wonder the three great god realms called the North Barbarians. The battle strength of the Northern God realm wasn't what they were bragging about. They were even stronger than what they had been bragging about. Yang Shang nodded in satisfaction. "You came at the right time." A divine general stepped forward and said respectfully, "What is the matter? Marshal, please give the order." "Very well." Yang Shang pointed to the west and said, "There's a human army about 50 kilometers to the west of this city. They belong to the Tianji Empire, and they're also an army that we must defeat. Listen to my command, immediately march to the west and defeat them." The celestial army turned around and rose into the sky. They turned into a golden cloud and flew to the west. There are 200,000 soldiers of the Yenji army. Dora's voice was slightly trembling. The Yenji army was the last regular army of the Tianji Empire. These 200,000 elite soldiers were reorganized from the Yenji army, the Lanji army, and the provincial army. They were also the last hope of the Tianji Empire. They were personally led by Marshal Gong Shangming. Once this Yenji army was defeated, it would mean that the Tianji Empire was really finished. Fengyun County, a county city on the border between Eastcom Province and Tianji Province. It was also the base of the Yenji army. The mighty army was divided into 3 camps and stationed around Fengyun County. War flags were fluttering in the wind, and the sound of drilling could be heard constantly. This army was the last regular army of the Tianji Empire, so they could not slack off. In the marshal's tent, Gong Xiangming kept coughing. He had been suffering from a cough since spring, and it had not improved until now. 2 rows of generals stood on the left and right. One of them cupped his fists and said, "Marshal, Eastcom City has changed owners." The letter said that a man with a large saber killed the 2 angels, Zai and Mok. Dora has already surrendered. I don't know where this man came from. What should we do? Gong Xiangming looked up at him and said, "The war in the celestial realm has finally spread to the human world. We are mortals after all, what can we do?" This news should have reached the imperial capital, but I am afraid that His Majesty's decree will not reach the Yinji army for a while. What should we do? Pass down the order. Gong Xiangming's voice was a little hoarse as he said, "Order the 50,000 vanguard troops to get into formation and prepare the demonic heart arrows and magic crystal crossbows. If there is really an enemy, it will definitely come from Eastcom City. The entire army is in a state of war. We are soldiers. No matter who the enemy is, it is our duty to guard the territory." Yes, I understand. In less than 2 hours, the vanguard troops had finished getting into formation with the sound of the horn. The formation was neat, and the swords and armor were bright. Gong Xiangming was a general, worthy of the title of Tianji Empire's marshal. The soldiers of the Yinji army looked into the distance with stern eyes. They had not seen the enemy yet, but a premonition of impending death made them very uneasy. The marshal ordered us to defend against the enemy. Who is the enemy? Is it the garrison of Eastcom City? A centurion asked. Impossible. The garrison of Eastcom City moved to Tianji province last night, another centurion refuted. Who could the enemy be? Perhaps it's just the marshal's imagination. After all, the Battle of Eastcom City was too tragic. Perhaps the marshal has already become a frightened bird. Shoo, if Lord Captaincy hears this, both of us will die. Yes, yes. At that moment, a sharp-eyed soldier suddenly pointed at the distant horizon and said, "Look, there's a cloud floating over there. It's golden." Yes, everyone looked over and clicked their tongues in wonder. Golden clouds were rare, and it was noon, not dusk. It was even rarer. In the marshal's tent, Gong Xiangming coughed and walked out. He looked at the golden cloud in the distance, and his heart beat violently for no reason. He said, "Sound the drums immediately. Tell everyone to be on guard and prepare the crossbows." Dong dong dong, the sound of drums reverberated, signifying the arrival of the great battle. In the sky, the golden cloud was getting closer and closer. Finally, everyone could see clearly that it was not a cloud. It was clearly a group of divine soldiers descending from the sky. Clang. The vanguard troops of the northern divine realm pulled out their weapons. Accompanied by angry roars, raging flames descended from the sky. Gong Xiangming suddenly felt as if his heart had been pierced by a sharp knife. He took several steps back and looked into the distance with a pale face. Their miserable screams could be heard. In just an instant, the vanguard troops of the vanguard troops had been reduced to dust. Raging flames burned the ground, and extremely powerful sword auras swept across the ground, not caring about spear formations or heavy armor troops. How was this a battle? It was just a massacre. Chapter 1077. 5,000 vanguard soldiers, gone. The deputy general slumped to the ground, his face pale. Poor they. Who are they, to be able to wipe out our most elite army in an instant? Heavens, who exactly are they? They're not human at all. Gong Xiangming trembled slightly and said, "They're gods, they're the army of the god realm. Commander Gong, what should we do?" The deputy general was at a loss. Gong Xiangming inhaled deeply and said, "We don't have the power to decide the life and death of our soldiers, we can't let them die for nothing. Send the order to stop the attack, retreat, and send envoys to negotiate for peace." "Can we make it in time? I'll go myself." Gong Xiangming snatched the commander's flag from the guard's hand, leaped onto his horse and galloped towards the battlefield of the vanguard. In the sky, countless northern divine realm gods were slaughtering wantonly, their faces full of enjoyment. "Commander Gong, be careful." The commander of the vanguard battalion raised his spear and charged towards Gong Xiangming. His entire body was covered in blood, but he did not go too far. Suddenly, a sharp blade pierced through his back. It was a spear thrown by a God State expert. "Protect Commander Gong," he screamed at the top of his lungs before he died. Dozens of vanguard battalion soldiers rushed over, but the flames behind them soared into the sky. A pillar of fire blossomed in the crowd, burning dozens of people alive into ashes. Gong Xiangming's entire body trembled. Facing the surging gods in the sky, he raised the commander's flag and shouted, "I am Commander Gong Xiangming of the Tianji Empire. I am willing to surrender with my army. No matter where you come from, I am willing to surrender and pledge my loyalty." He was a refined scholar, yet he was able to persevere in the face of the pressure of the gods. In the sky, the crowd dispersed as Marshal Yangshang walked over step by step. He smiled and said, "You're Gong Xiangming?" "That's right, that's me." "He's just a Confucian scholar without the strength to truss a chicken. Aren't you afraid?" Yangshang asked with a smile. "Afraid? If death can set me free, what's there to be afraid of?" Gong Xiangming smiled at Yangshang and said, "Which army are you from? What are your intentions in coming here?" Yangshang clenched his fists and said, "Northern God Realm Army. I am Marshal Yangshang and I have led the Northern God Realm Army here to take over this entire plain. Those who are stubborn will be killed without mercy. Now tell me, what do you plan to do?" Gong Xiangming cupped his fists. "As long as you treat my army well, Gong Xiangming is willing to lead my army and submit to you." "Why did you surrender?" Yangshang stared at him like a sword. "Do you know that I hate people who are afraid of death the most? I especially hate traitors like you. If you can't give me a reason that can convince me, then just wait for your death." Gong Xiangming looked up at Yangshang and smiled. "Although I am the marshal, the 200,000 soldiers behind me are the strong men of the Tianji Empire. They bear the future and continuity of the empire on their backs. Although I can protect my reputation by fighting to the death here, the 200,000 men will be wiped out. What I bear is more than just treason, it's the shame of having my entire family exterminated. If you think that I am afraid of death, Gong Xiangming can commit suicide right here and now to show my sincerity." "No need." Yangshang raised his hand and chuckled. "You're quite an interesting person. Forget it, I won't pursue this matter with you. Order your army to change into the flag of the Northern God Realm and immediately set off for Tianji City. I want to destroy Tianji City in the shortest time possible and unify the entire Tianji Empire." "All right." Gong Xiangming's hand that was holding the flag finally stopped trembling, but his face was filled with pain. 7 days later, the 200,000-strong Yanji army turned around and launched a counterattack. They killed their way to the imperial capital's Tianji City in just a few days. They didn't even encounter any resistance along the way. Gong Xiangming used the name of a marshal to summon the generals guarding the passes along the way. The first day of the siege, everyone in the entire Tianji imperial city was in a state of panic. The main hall was even more anxious. "Bastards! They're all a bunch of ungrateful traitors." Bai Mingyuan threw the incense burner heavily on the floor of the main hall. The veins on his face bulged as he said, "Gong Xiangming, this despicable villain. He actually made my 200,000 soldiers change sides just like that. I must have been blind to have given the marshal's seal to such an ungrateful villain. I must have been blind." "Your Majesty!" The general guarding the city cupped his hands and said, "Gong Xiangming said outside the city that he is willing to have a chat with your Majesty. As long as your Majesty allows it, he will enter the imperial capital alone to see your Majesty." "Does he still have the face?" Bai Mingyuan roared angrily. "He lost 200,000 soldiers and he still has the face to see me? Your Majesty, please reconsider." Deputy Commander Ouyang Chong said in a deep voice, "Since Commander Gong said so, it is necessary. There is no harm in meeting him and seeing what he has to say." "Someone bring Gong Xiangming here." "Yes." For hours later, a group of people galloped into the imperial palace. Gong Xiangming, who was dressed in a white robe, coughed violently due to his frail body. He entered the main hall with the help of 2 attendants and knelt on the ground. "This sinner, Gong Shangming, greets your majesty." Bai Mingyuan said coldly, "Gong Shangming, do you know that you are guilty of the death penalty?" "This subject knows." Gong Shangming raised his head to look at Bai Mingyuan and said, "But your majesty, the enemy this time is not the human race, but the god race. The god race army from the northern divine realm has more than 10,000 people, and every one of them is brave and invincible. Our army is no match for them at all. If this subject gives the order to fight to the death, these 200,000 strong young warriors will definitely die for the country. Instead of striking a rock with an egg, why not let them live?" "Impudent! Impudent!" Bai Mingyuan threw the second incense burner down and roared angrily, "Who are you? Who are you? What right do you have to hand over my country to someone else just like that?" Gong Shangming painfully closed his eyes. "Your Majesty, please reconsider. If these young warriors are no longer here, where will your country go? If the people's hearts are no longer on your Majesty's side, how will your Majesty be able to protect your country? You're still quibbling. Yangshang's army is here. Can I still protect my country now? Your Majesty!" Gong Shangming tried to persuade him. "Marshal Yangshang has already promised this subordinate that as long as your Majesty is willing to submit and agree to surrender, Marshal Yangshang can continue to promise your Majesty to be the emperor. However, you will have to hand over all the military power of the country. But this way, at least the lives of the people of the country can be protected, right?" "Did Yangshang really say that?" "Yes." Good." Bai Mingyuan stood up and laughed heartily. "Guards, detain Gong Shangming in the imperial prison. Here, this is our cloud dragon sword. Gong Shangming, once Yangshang's army enters the city, we will send someone to inform you. You can take your own life." Gong Shangming's entire body trembled and his heart was in a mess. After a long time, he laughed bitterly. "Retribution, retribution." Looking at the cloud dragon sword that the attendant brought over, he slowly accepted it and knelt on the ground. "Your subject Gong Shangming thanks your Majesty for your grace." At dusk, the blood-red rays of the setting sun shone into the city. Accompanied by the rumbling sound of the city gates opening, this majestic imperial capital that had stood for thousands of years had finally changed owners. Rows and rows of golden-armored soldiers from the northern god realm entered the city, showing off their might. To them, this city was a spoil of war that they could enjoy as they pleased. Emperor Bai Mingyuan led his officials to welcome Yangshang at the center of the plaza. However, when Yangshang appeared with Dora surrounded by the gods, Bai Mingyuan slowly knelt down. "Tianji Bai Mingyuan greets Marshal Yangshang." The corner of Yangshang's mouth curled up slightly. "You are Bai Mingyuan? Your empire is so powerful, but you can't dominate the entire continent. Is it because you are useless, or is it because your empire's warriors are useless?" Bai Mingyuan frowned deeply. "It is my incompetence. Marshal's reprimand is extremely correct. Move out of the imperial palace. From today onwards, this imperial palace will be my temporary imperial residence." "Yes." "Alright, where is Gong Shangming?" Marshal Gong felt guilty and felt that he had no face to face the citizens of the empire, so he committed suicide. "What?" Yangshang was stunned. At the side, Dora smiled sweetly. "Marshal, Gong Shangming is just a traitor. What's there to feel sorry for? Let's go to the palace and rest early. Marshal must be tired after a day like this." I'm not tired." Yangshang looked around and said, "This city hasn't truly submitted to me yet, so I still have the energy to deal with some troublesome people. Dora, tell me, who else do I have in this city?" "Enemies." A cold light flashed through Dora's eyes, and she said, "There is one, the sect master of the Tianji sect, Si Ming. He is Si Yao's grandfather, and he is the strongest person in the entire Tianji Empire and even the celestial pole continent. If Marshal wants the world to accept you wholeheartedly, you must eliminate Si Ming first. Si Ming lives in the headquarters of the Tianji sect, less than 2.5 kilometers from here." That's great. Yang Shang sneered. Guards, take over the defense of the entire Tianji city, and bring some people to the palace to collect all the valuables. The rest, follow me, I want to meet the legendary Sikong Ming. Yes, Marshal. In the prison, the cold air was oppressive. Cough, cough, cough. Gong Shangming curled up in a corner, coughing violently. His originally handsome face was now filled with desolation, as if he had aged a lot. He didn't look like Marshal Gong in the past. Beside him, the cloud dragon sword was glowing with a faint golden light. To Gong Shangming, this was a sword that claimed his life. Clang, clang. Outside, the guard knocked on the iron ring and said, Yang Shang's God Race army has entered the city. Marshal Gong, you should be on your way. Gong Shangming smiled bitterly and slowly stood up with the help of his long sword. He had saved the lives of 200,000 soldiers and millions of people in Tianji City. However, the price was his own life. Although Baiming Yuan's imperial power no longer existed, he could still easily kill Gong Shangming. This was also the only way for Baiming Yuan to vent his anger. Gong Shangming's eyes lit up. Blood splattered on the ice-cold wall, and the cloud dragon sword fell to the ground. A generation of Marshal Gong died in the ice-cold prison just like that. Chapter 1078. The main altar of the Celestial Barrier sect was filled with birdsong and fragrant flowers. The training ground was filled with the sounds of people practicing and practicing. This was Sikong Ming's order. No matter how chaotic the Celestial Barrier city was, the Celestial Barrier sect could not fall into chaos. This was the sect's rule. Boom! The steel door was suddenly smashed, and Yang Shang floated in. Not far away, a few disciples of the Celestial Barrier sect were indifferent. They just looked at Yang Shang and the other gods of the Northern Divine Realm. Where is Sikong Ming? Yang Shang asked coldly. A disciple stepped forward and said, Marshal, the sect master is waiting for you. I will bring you there now. The Celestial Barrier sect's calmness exceeded Yang Shang's expectations. He smiled and said, Then lead the way. After the disciple passed through a few pavilions, they arrived at the courtyard in the backyard where the Chinese roses were in full bloom and their fragrance filled their nostrils. Yang Shang had brought quite a number of people with him. Nearly 200 Northern Divine Realms God Race soldiers were standing in a row outside the courtyard. Sikong Ming was sitting on a stone bench under a peach tree as he sipped on a cup of tea. Marshal, since you are here, won't you have a sip? Sikong Ming smiled faintly. Yang Shang walked into the peach forest slowly and sat down in front of Sikong Ming. He smiled and said, You are Sikong Ming? That's me. Aren't you afraid? What's there to be afraid of? Sikong Ming poured a cup of tea for Yang Shang and said, This is the flower tea from the southern mountain of the Celestial Barrier City. Marshal, try it. I don't have the time to drink tea here. Yang Shang slammed his palm on the stone tea table. His face was filled with anger. However, this palm shook the stone table with a pung sound, but it didn't shatter. Faint streams of air lingered around the stone table, surprising people, as if there was some kind of power protecting the stone table. Interesting. Yang Shang raised his head to look at Sikong Ming and said with a smile, Looks like Senior is indeed worthy of being called a senior expert. Yang Shang seeks guidance. I wonder if Senior can grant me some guidance? The Marshal's evil aura is too strong. It's easy to hurt yourself if you fight like this. Moreover, you've brought so many godly state experts with you. It's obvious that you want to destroy the Tianji sect. Am I right? That's right. If you lose, I will indeed destroy the Tianji sect. Then please follow this old man. Sikong Ming pointed at the thatched hut behind him and said, That thatched hut is this old man's residence, and is also a good place to spar. Does the Marshal dare to follow this old man? Why wouldn't I dare? Yang Shang smiled faintly. Then come. Sikong Ming patted his butt and sat up. Dora frowned and said, Marshal, this Sikong Ming is full of tricks. You mustn't fall for his tricks. Shut up, I know what I'm doing. Yang Shang glared fiercely at Dora, his eyes filled with killing intent. Dora felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave, and her entire body was still trembling. Only now did she know what kind of person Yangshang was. He was the possessor of power and authority, and could not be refuted. His attitude on the bed last night was not like this. Sikong Ming slowly pushed open the wooden door of the thatched hut and walked in first. When Yangshang followed him in, he felt a gust of cold wind sweep past, and the wooden door behind him was closed. What he was standing on was not a wooden floor, but a four-dimensional space with layers of ripples. There was another world inside the thatched hut, and it was basically another domain space created by Sikong Ming. It could also be said that Yangshang had stepped into the space created by Sikong Ming. Who exactly are you? Yangshang was a little stunned. Sikong Ming slowly stepped on the star flames and walked towards the higher part of the domain space. He smiled and said, "Marshal, do you know what this old man's principles are in the celestial pole continent?" "What?" "Stand aloof from worldly affairs." Sikong Ming turned around and smiled. He actually looked like a fairy with white hair and a youthful face. He gently raised his palm, and a great void constellation condensed. He said, "The celestial pole sect has the same attitude as this old man. For thousands of years, we have stood aloof from worldly affairs, and only cultivate and seek the heavenly Tao." "A bunch of nonsense." Yangshang roared angrily, and the Emperor Flame Saber in his hand surged with flames as he slashed at Sikong Ming. With a roar, several hundred meters of saber chi swept across the sky, and as the saber chi produced a pillar of fire that soared into the sky, it instantly engulfed Sikong Ming's body. Bang! Amidst the explosion, the saber seemed to have slashed into cotton. When Yangshang looked up again, he saw Sikong Ming standing leisurely in the great void, and the smile on his face became even wider. "Who exactly are you?" Yangshang slowly lowered the Emperor Flame Saber. He no longer planned to fight with his life on the line, because he would be able to determine the victor with a single strike. He definitely wouldn't be able to kill Sikong Ming. This Sikong Ming's strength was far from being as simple as a 94-stage grotto heaven in the rumors. What Yangshang felt was the overwhelming righteousness that was surging out from a 99-stage grotto heaven great perfection stage, and it made him feel very uncomfortable. "Is it important who I am?" Sikong Ming smiled and said. Yangshang frowned and said, "It's impossible for there to be such an expert in the mortal world. Senior, please tell me." "Marshal, have you heard of the sky beyond heaven?" "What? You? Someone from the sky beyond heaven?" "Yes." Sikong Ming stroked his white beard and smiled. "At least 200 years ago." "What do you mean?" Sikong Ming's gaze was gentle as he smiled. "Because I had already ascended to the sky beyond heaven more than 3,000 years ago. There are only legends about me in the mortal world, but I have long since left the mortal world. However, 200 years ago, my son Sikong Han finally decided to give birth to the next generation, which is my granddaughter, Si Kong Yao. Yao was born adorable, and has long been the apple of my eye. How could I continue to stay in the sky beyond heaven? Thus, I returned to the mortal world to teach Yao, and to protect Yao at all times to prevent any mishaps from happening." Yangshang's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Was the Sikong Ming in front of him really a god from the sky beyond heaven? Or was he just a crazy demon that protected his granddaughter? "I know that Marshal will definitely not believe me, but it doesn't matter. I have always stood aloof from worldly affairs. As long as Marshal does not offend me, I will definitely not offend Marshal." "That's good." Yangshang knew that he couldn't win, so he naturally wouldn't force it. He said, "Then, Senior, if a war were to break out between the Northern Heaven Realm and the Eastern and Western Divine Realms, will you be involved?" After all, a god from the sky beyond heaven wasn't simple. Yangshang couldn't help but think about it carefully. Sikong Ming smiled. "I won't except for one." "Which one?" "Do not become enemies with my granddaughter, Si Kong Yao. Otherwise, even if I have to risk my old bones, I will drag Marshal down to hell." Yangshang was stunned. "Junior understands. Senior, don't worry. I will definitely not become enemies with Miss Si Kong Yao. Senior, please be at ease." "That's good. I will not send Marshal off. Marshal, please immediately withdraw your troops from the Tianji sect. Don't make things difficult for my disciples. Yes, Senior. Farewell. Forgive me for not sending you off. Creak. The wooden door opened. Xikong Ming and Yangshang walked out side by side as if they had been friends for many years. Let's go. Withdraw from the Tianji sect's headquarters. Yangshang waved his hand and cupped his hands at Xikong Ming to bid farewell. Duo La was dumbfounded. Marshal, are we leaving just like that? Shut up. Let's go. Yes. Duo La was very unwilling, but he could only follow Yangshang and leave the Tianji sect's headquarters. Looking at the backs of Yangshang and the others, a hint of coldness flashed through Xikong Ming's eyes as he said indifferently, looks like the celestial pole continent isn't peaceful again. I just hope that a Yao doesn't get too involved. Thinking of this, Xikong Ming said in a low voice, Guards. A high-ranking disciple quickly walked over. Sect Master, please give your orders. Pass down my order. Immediately start moving the Tianji sect's headquarters. Ah? Headquarters? Moving? To Shiping City, of course. Yao is there. But moving is no small matter. Sect Master, please think twice before you act. I told you to move. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Yes, move. Half a month later, Yangshang's Protoss army swept through the entire Tianji Empire, turning it into his territory. However, he didn't touch the Xishan and Huiyuan provinces. After all, those were the territory of Si Kongyao's Baizhe mercenaries. Yangshang wasn't stupid enough to go against Si Kongyao. Thinking of Xikong Ming's power, Yangshang couldn't help but feel at a loss. Xikong Ming had to be removed, but not now. At the very least, he had to wait until God Wang Dong Ming personally descended before he could consider it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have full confidence at all. On the 22nd day of the 7th lunar month, Yangshang's army bypassed the Huiyuan and Xishan provinces and attacked the Blackstone Empire. Within 3 days, they captured Thousand Mountain City. The entire Blackstone Empire was shocked. Emperor Shi Yuan led his army eastward to seek refuge in the Red Cliff province. On the 27th day, Shi Yuan's 200,000 Blackstone Empire soldiers arrived at Red Cliff City. Banners fluttered in the wind. Everyone was exhausted. Their pursuers were about to catch up. Open the gates. A messenger raised the royal flag and shouted, Open the gates. His Majesty is here. The guards on the walls were stunned, but no one opened the gates. A cold arrow was shot into the city, piercing through the walls and killing the messenger. At this time, a martial artist walked out from the walls. It was the Valley Lord of Wolf Valley, Hisong. He raised his voice and said, Red Cliff City is small and cannot accommodate 200,000 soldiers. Your Majesty, please arrange a formation outside the city to face the enemy. The people of Wolf Valley will soon leave the city and attack the enemy from the left and right. Your Majesty, please rest assured. We will definitely inflict heavy losses on the enemy. Inside the tent, Shi Yuan cursed loudly, but it was to no avail. Half a day later, Yangshang's celestial race army arrived. Blood flowed like a river outside Red Cliff City. Shi Yuan's 200,000 soldiers were unable to stop the enemy. In just one day, the majority of the 200,000 soldiers had either been killed or had fled. There were less than a few thousand soldiers by Shi Yuan's side. The situation was dire. It's over, it's all over. Shi Yuan raised his blood-stained longsword and said, The Blackstone Empire is finished. Isong betrayed me. Longxi has disappeared without a trace. Our 1,000-year foundation has been destroyed. Forget it. Your Majesty, we cannot give up. Several generals pleaded, Your Majesty, please give us the decree. We are willing to fight the enemy again. There is no need. I am leaving. Shi Yuan rushed into the sky and muttered some incantations. In the blink of an eye, the gate of heaven opened. Shi Yuan turned into a ray of light and flew towards the western divine realm. When his empire fell, Shi Yuan directly ascended. In the evening, Hisong led the 100,000 soldiers of Wolf Valley out of the city and surrendered to Yangshang. Chapter 1079. 45 days in the mortal world, but more than a year had passed in the ancient mystery land. In the devouring heaven domain of the Middle Land, there was a primeval forest 30 miles east of the domain castle. Wild beasts ran amok, and few people were there. However, the morning dew and the evening glow, and the spiritual power rippled, making it an excellent place for cultivation. For more than a year, Lin Muyu had been cultivating here. She had already broken through 90 grotto heavens and stepped into a whole new realm. Her strength had increased by more than 2 times. Bang! Amidst the loud noise, a figure fell from the sky and into the forest. The heavy impact created a cloud of dust. "I don't accept this." In the mess, the person slowly stood up. It was Situ Yun, Gonggong's son, Go Long, who had been subdued. He brushed off the dust on his body and said angrily, "Leader said that she wouldn't use the power of the immortal golden body, but she said that she used it just now." In the sky, Lin Muyu stood in the wind and said with a smile, "I didn't want to, but you are too strong." "No, I want to fight again." Go Long was born arrogant and didn't want to admit defeat. His personality was completely different from the 4 great witches, but it was this unwillingness to admit defeat that made his cultivation so profound that he was above the 4 great witches. It was also because of this that Lin Muyu chose Go Long as her opponent. Only a strong opponent could stimulate her strong potential. However, Lin Muyu's strength had improved too quickly over the past year. She had broken through from the 87th Grotto Heaven stage to the 90th Grotto Heaven stage, and her strength had undergone a qualitative leap. The strength of her divine power had nearly doubled, causing Go Long, who was initially confident of winning, to be at a disadvantage. A year ago, Go Long was still on par with Lin Muyu, but now he was losing more than he was winning. Especially in recent times, Go Long had never won a single match. "How dare you!" On the crown of a distant tree, Go Long was lying on it. He frowned and said, "The leader is stronger than you. Why are you not convinced? Even if you use your strongest 9th attack, you still won't be a match for the leader. Why are you still not convinced?" Ju Long gritted his teeth. "I don't care, I just can't accept this. Leader, please be the judge." The shapeless elephant technique is a secret technique of the realm beyond heavens. It's vigorous and surging. You have a huge advantage, so it's normal that I can't win. So, what do you want? Lin Muyu squinted her eyes and smiled. Unless the leader is willing to teach me the formless elephant spell and the star spell, I will never be convinced. Look at how useless you are." Gomong flew into a rage from afar and almost cursed out loud. Lin Muyu laughed and said, "Go Long, are you finally willing to submit to the leader of the Jiuli tribe? If you are willing, then I will consider teaching you the first level of the formless elephant spell." Go Long was stunned. After a few seconds, he knelt on both knees and said, Go Long greets the leader. Go Long will be loyal to the leader for the rest of my life. I also hope that the leader will not be stingy and teach me the martial arts technique of the realm beyond heavens." This was the first time Go Long had officially acknowledged Lin Muyu as his master. It was truly rare. The corner of Lin Muyu's mouth rose. She said, Good. Get up first." "Yes, the leader is willing to teach me the formless elephant spell?" Go Long was overjoyed. Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, "The formless elephant spell is a secret technique that Celestial Emperor Fuxi taught me. Without his permission, I can't teach you everything. So, I can only teach you the first level of the formless elephant spell. When I meet Celestial Emperor Fuxi in the future and get his permission, I will teach you everything I know. What do you think?" Go Long nodded repeatedly. It's worth it to be able to see its profundity. Thank you, leader. Sit down and remember the chant." Just like that, Lin Muyu started teaching Go Long the martial technique. Gomong, who was beside her, stretched and went back to sleep. Gomong had always been an ancestral wizard who stood aloof from worldly affairs. He didn't care about secret techniques. His heavenly Tao was something that Xiaoyao had stumbled upon unintentionally. He definitely didn't want to seek for anything. Instead, he was somewhat similar to Chu Chu. When the sun was setting, a powerful aura rushed over. It was Tang Xiaoxi who had delivered the meal. The bamboo basket was filled with dishes, and the aroma assailed everyone's nostrils. Lin Muyu flew over and said with a smile, "Xiaoxi, you're here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Are you not going back tonight?" Tang Xiaoxi asked unhappily. "I want to comprehend the power of the 9th reincarnation cycle of the star incantation as soon as possible. This will take some time, and I need to concentrate. Once I go back, I'll put all my attention on you and Xiao Yin. I won't be able to concentrate on my cultivation. It's because you two are so beautiful." Her words made Tang Xiaoxi happy. "Humph, you're such a sweet talker." Tang Xiaoxi took out the bowls and plates and placed them on a smooth stone. She said, "Mu, Sister Xian might leave the 64 domains in advance after some time." "What's wrong?" Lin Muyu was surprised. In the past year, she has almost cultivated to the perfection realm. A few days ago, she returned to the 99 heavenly caves. Moreover, there's nothing in the 64 domains that needs her. So, Sister Xian plans to return to the Broken Cauldron realm first and wait for us there. Moreover, Sister Xian left the Western Divine Realm because she was tired of killing and conquering. In the end, you dragged her into the chaos of the 64 domains again. Lin Muyu felt a little guilty. Yes, that's because we needed her power too much previously. But it's different now. You, me, and Xiao Yin's power is enough to deal with any situation. However, why did Sister Xian return to the Broken Cauldron realm alone? She said she wants to build a wooden house in the mountains, circle a grassland, raise a few rabbits, pick peach blossoms in spring, peach blossoms in summer, plum blossoms in winter, and chrysanthemums in autumn. Anyway, that's what she said. Lin Muyu looked forward to it. She said, "This kind of peaceful life is really enviable. If that's the case, after we end the war between the Broken Cauldron realm and the Immortal realm, you, me, and Xiao Yin will build a wooden house next to Sister Xian's. We'll raise a bunch of rabbits and live a peaceful life. What do you think?" Tang Xiaoxi's eyes were full of little stars. Gomang and Gelong were both dumbfounded. Gelong said, "There are many kinds of relationships in the mortal world. Leader is really good at picking up girls." Gomang smiled faintly. "Do you think the formless elephant art is the only thing you need to learn from Leader? You can learn it slowly. It's enough for you to use for the rest of your life." Gelong grinned. "But uncle, we are gods. We are existences that have eliminated the 7 emotions and 6 desires." "Nonsense," Gomang said. "Even gods can be lonely and lonely. Don't you envy Leader and Miss Xiao Shi and Xiao Yin for being immortal companions?" "Well, I do. That's why I said you need to learn more. Look at what you've done in the past. You have 64 concubines in the heaven-devouring realm, but did any of them treat you sincerely? Definitely not. I've never treated them sincerely. Forget it, I can't explain it to you." Gomang walked forward, picked up his chopsticks, and sat opposite Lin Muyu. As they ate, he asked, "Miss Xiao Shi, how's the preparation of the Dragon League's troops?" Tang Xiaoxi blinked and smiled. "Senior, don't worry. The reorganization is basically complete. There are more than 60,142 immortal state experts. They are divided into 4 big legions. Each legion has 15,000 people. They are led by Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai, Murong Tianxing, and Zhu Long respectively. So, Senior Gomang, you're free now." "That's great." Gomang smiled. "What does Leader plan to do with the 60,000 celestial race troops?" "Quell the chaos in the 4 great divine realms." Lin Muyu's voice was very calm. She said, "The Northern Divine Realm and Western Divine Realm have ulterior motives. The Demon Emperor is alone, so I have to help him turn the tide. And to be honest, Big Brother Demon Emperor has fought for so many years and built up the reputation of the Eastern Heaven. But the more he fights, the less his strength is. In terms of personal strength and prestige, Big Brother Demon Emperor is the strongest in the 4 great divine realms. But in terms of war and strategy, he can only be considered." As he said that, he raised his pinky. Zhu Long and Gomang burst into laughter. There was probably no one in the entire Eastern Divine Realm who would dare to say such things about the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. Only Lin Muyu could. After the meal, Lin Muyu stood up majestically. Zhu Long, prepare to continue training. Yes, leader. Tang Xiaoxi watched from the side with a smile. She also wanted to know what realm Lin Muyu's cultivation had reached. And Lin Muyu already had a plan in mind. There was still 1 year left in the 64 domains. During this time, she had to continue making breakthroughs and reach at least the 95th level of the Grotto Heaven realm. That way, with the 3 great advantages of the Supreme Godhead, Formless Elephant Art, and Immortal Golden Body, even experts at the peak of the 99th level of the Grotto Heaven realm might not be able to do anything to her. And meanwhile, in the Celestial Pole continent, Shao Pass, an important boundary between the Celestial Empire and the Blackstone Empire. This pass was guarded by 50,000 troops from the Celestial Empire. In addition, both sides had stationed nearly 200,000 troops on the east and west sides of Shao Pass. At dusk, the cold wind swept through the pass, blowing the sound of ghosts crying and wolves howling. A general dressed in golden armor stood tall and lofty as he stared at the west side of Shao Pass with a profound gaze. There was a person riding on a horse that was leaving a trail of dust in his wake. He held the war flag of the Northern God realm in his hand, and there was an image of a snow bear on the war flag. It was the unique symbol of Dong Ming's family. They're here, the general said shakily. Within a month, they destroyed the Tianji Empire and the Blackstone Empire. Now it's finally our turn. The general on the side turned pale. Your Highness Dongqing Wang, are we going to fight or make peace? Act according to the situation. At this time, the envoy stopped and said loudly, People of Shao Pass, who has the final say? Dongqing Wang jumped up and stood on the battlement. He said majestically, Me. For you. Dongqing Wang, the monarch's uncle. Oh, it's Your Highness Dongqing Wang. My apologies. The envoy laughed. His Majesty Qin Yu actually sent Your Highness to guard Shao Pass. He really thinks highly of our northern divine realm. Chapter 1080. Dongqing Wang narrowed his eyes. The cold wind made his cloak dance wildly. He said, I don't know what Marshal Yangshang is going to do. By right, you should have rested in Red Rock City. The envoy chuckled. Thank you for your understanding, Your Highness. Our army has indeed rested, and the Marshal also knows that the Celestial Empire is the strongest of the 3 empires in the Celestial Pole continent. Not only does it have 800,000 soldiers, but it also has the support of the Thunder Spirit tribe. However, our Marshal said that Shao Pass is required to surrender before dawn tomorrow. Otherwise, the heavenly soldiers of the Northern Divine Realm will definitely flatten Shao Pass, leaving no one alive. Leave no one alive? Dongqing Wang couldn't help but laugh out loud. Yangshang is indeed a god. His tone is really big, and he's not afraid that the wind will cut his tongue. Go back and tell Yangshang that Shaoguan is right here. If he wants to destroy Shaoguan, he can do it. I, Qin Lu, will be waiting for his god clan army here. Stubborn fool. If you want to die, no one can save you. Just wait and see. The envoy spurred his horse and left. Your Highness. The garrison general's face was pale. He said, How can we fight like this? Dongqing Wang looked into the distance and didn't say anything. Your Highness, tell me, why did you provoke him? The garrison general frowned. Next to him, more than a dozen generals also looked at Dongqing Wang. Dongqing Wang sighed and said, I've arranged a lot of spies in Hongyan City. According to the information they provided, Yangshang lost nearly 700 deities in the dozens of battles when he occupied the empire of Tianji. Later, he killed Shi Yuan's 200,000 elite soldiers outside Hongyan City. Although it looked like he was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, in fact, more than 1,700 of Yangshang's 10,000 advanced troops were killed, and more than 2,000 were injured. There are less than 8,000 advanced troops in Hongyan City, and more than 2,000 of them are injured. As he spoke, Dongqing Wang looked at the crowd solemnly and said, His Majesty Qin Yu has led 200,000 troops from the imperial capital. We have 50,000 soldiers in Shao Pass, and there are 200,000 elites of Tianjue army in the east of Shao Pass. You should also know that the gods under Yang Shang's command are not omnipotent. The devil heart arrow can penetrate their bodies, and the magic crystal cannons of Broken Cauldron World can shatter their protective upstanding chi. They are actually the same as us. They will die when their energy is exhausted. His Majesty will arrive in 3 days. If we can consume half of Yang Shang's troops in these 3 days, by the time His Majesty arrives, we can join forces with the elites of the Leihun tribe, and we will definitely be able to destroy Yang Shang's army. Dong Qingwang's eyes were burning, and he said, "Gods are not invincible. They have always been so, as long as we are sincere and loyal to protect the country." He suddenly pulled out his sword, raised the blade high, and said, "Qin Lu, am deeply indebted to the Emperor, and I love the home behind me. I would rather die in battle than be a slave." Everyone pulled out their weapons one after another and shouted, "I would rather die in battle than be a slave." Before the sun set, the army of the god race had already arrived in the distance, covering the sky and the earth, shining with golden light. Fight! Dong Qingwang raised his blade high and shouted, "For the Empire, for the honor of the soldiers." On the city walls, densely packed arrows, ballistae, magic crystal crossbows, and demonic heart arrows were shot into the sky, and those god realm experts also swooped down, slanting their sword chi and power of the laws among the crowd on the city walls. In a short moment, many people died in battle, and the entire city walls of Shao Pass were still trembling, swaying, as if it would collapse at any time. "Look, that person is coming." In the air, holding the Flame Emperor saber in his hand, the person who came was Yang Shang, and Yang Shang's intention was very clear, and he rushed straight to Dong Qingwang. To capture the followers, one must first capture the leader. Once Dong Qingwang was killed, the 50,000 defending troops in the city wall would be torn apart. Who knew that Dong Qingwang knew that death was coming, but he let go and shouted, "Even if I die in battle, you must continue to fight. You are soldiers, soldiers of the Tianjue realm." 4 dragon knights suddenly took off, waving their dragon swords and dragon spears to kill Yang Shang, to cover Dong Qingwang. But how could they block? Yang Shang just gently swept across, and the 4 dragon knights were almost instantly killed, and even one of them, a God King level dragon knight, was also powerless to fight back. "Die, Dong Qingwang." Yang Shang's saber suddenly fell, and the scorching power of the law of fire almost evaporated everything. Dong Qingwang's body was instantly turned into ashes, and dozens of soldiers beside him were also evaporated, turning into a pile of blackened rotten bones. It was a horrible sight. "Dong Qingwang is already dead. Do you still want to resist stubbornly?" Yang Shang shouted. 100 meters away, a black magic crystal cannon was already aimed at him. "Fire!" Bang! The fiery red cannonball flew over with a tongue of flame, but with Yang Shang's cultivation, the trajectory of the cannonball was so slow in his eyes that he stretched out his left palm, gently opened his 5 fingers, and grasped the moving magic crystal cannon. With a slight force, the cannonball suddenly exploded. Although this kind of crude magic crystal cannon was far less powerful than the magic crystal cannon of the Broken Cauldron realm, it was still not trivial. A mushroom cloud flew up from the city wall. A group of soldiers of the Celestial Empire cheered, "Killed! Killed that son of AB***. However, after the smoke dissipated, Yang Shang stood there unscathed, not even a speck of dust on his clothes. His eyes were full of anger, and he said, "Stubborn idiots, kill them all." For a moment, the city was filled with killing sounds. The fire pillars of the magic crystal cannon and the flying demon heart arrows intertwined. In a flash, Shao Pass had become a purgatory on earth. When it was close to dawn, almost all the 50,000 defenders in Shao Pass had died in battle, and Yang Shang's celestial race army occupied Shao Pass. But when they left Shao Pass in the east, they saw flags fluttering in the distance and the rumbling of horse hooves. It was the cavalry of the Celestial Empire. A total of 70,000 cavalry, the most elite troops of the Celestial Empire, had arrived. At the front of the cavalry formation, Captain C, whose face was hidden in his helmet, raised his spear and shouted, "His Highness Dongqing Wang has died for his country. Warriors, it is time for His Highness to take revenge. Use the blood of the enemy to wash away the shame." The densely packed horsemen on the ground were charging over, sending shivers down people's spines. Even the celestial ray soldiers of the advance guard couldn't help but feel their scalps go numb. Although the strength of the people in the mortal world was far inferior to the gods, their courage in battle seemed to be much stronger than that of the gods. "What a bunch of lunatics!" Yang Shang narrowed his eyes and said, "But they are also a bunch of lunatics who are courting death. They want to block the wheels of the northern god realm with the arms of mortals. They are practically seeking their own deaths. Kill them, leave no one alive." A god emperor expert at the side said, "Marshal, we have just gone through a great battle, and many of the gods have already used up their strength. Are we really going to continue fighting with this bunch of lunatics? Why not? Don't forget that you are gods. Could it be that you are afraid of these mortals?" Yang Shang's gaze turned cold, and no one dared to look him in the eye. "Yes, we will charge immediately." The fierce battle lasted for an entire day, and when the sun rose again, the mountains and plains were littered with corpses. The people of the Heaven End army had indeed gone mad. The 70,000 cavalry had finished their battle, and the 30,000 archers had stepped forward, followed by the 50,000 heavy infantry, pikemen, and chariot soldiers. A total of 200,000 troops, and less than a tenth of them had escaped. The entire mountain forest was filled with corpses, and the flags of the Heaven End army could be seen everywhere. The stench of blood was incomparably thick. Yang Shang's eyes were bloodshot, and the flame emperor blade was stained with blood. It was unknown how many people had died under his blade on this day. But Yang Shang also saw the corpses of the advance guard, and there were many of them. "Count the number of people." Yang Shang slowly sat on a rock and wiped the blood off his blade on the wild grass. More than 3,200 people have died, and more than 2,000 are injured. "A bunch of trash." Yang Shang roared angrily. The god general was so scared that his face turned pale, and he said, "Marshal, it is not that we are useless, but that the army of the mortal realm is too powerful. Their arrows and cannons seem to be able to restrain our divine power. Moreover, there are many god-level people in this army, and they have caused us a lot of trouble." At this moment, Dora descended from the sky, panting, and said, "Another army is coming from the north, 15 kilometers away. It is the army led by the Emperor of the Celestial Empire, Qin Yu. There are more than 200,000 people, and there are also some people from the mutated race. They seem to be very powerful, and there are no less than 500 god-level experts. Marshal, let's retreat. Everyone is exhausted, and once the enemy's people arrive, we won't be able to leave even if we want to." "No, we won't leave." Yang Shang's gaze was fierce, and he said, "Why should I leave?" Dora was stunned. The god generals were also dumbfounded. Yang Shang smiled faintly and said, "Since Qin Yu wants to fight it out with me, then how can I disappoint him? If I don't kill all of Qin Yu's people, how can the Emperor of the mortal realm submit to me?" Dora didn't say anything, and just stood quietly at the side. She knew that although Yang Shang was arbitrary and conceited, he wouldn't send himself to a dead end. At noon, the majestic main force of the Celestial Empire finally arrived at the foot of the mountain. The entire plain was filled with their people, and they blocked out the sun. In contrast, there were less than 5,000 people left in the vanguard army, and they seemed very weak. The war drums and bugles sounded, and Qin Yu immediately gave the order to attack. Speed was the most important thing in war, and he was indeed very fast. He was so fast that Yang Shang's vanguard army didn't even have a chance to catch their breath. Yang Shang raised his Emperor Yen saber and soared into the sky. He stepped on a white cloud and looked at the army on the ground. He laughed loudly. "Do you think you can destroy the deity race's army like this? Do you think that I, Yang Shang, still have 10,000 gods under my command? Ha! Qin Yu, since you've come to die, how can I not send you on your way? Come, experience the vast heavenly might of the northern god realm." As he spoke, he raised the Emperor Yan's blade. Flames surged and spun rapidly into the sky. In an instant, it broke through the heavenly gate. Suddenly, beams of light fell from the sky and crashed into the ground. They were like meteors, crashing toward the heavenly Jew Empire's army. This time, the Northern God realm sent even more troops, a total of 50,000. Calamity. This was definitely a calamity for the Celestial Empire, as well as a deep sense of helplessness and despair. Chapter 1081. Even though the Celestial Empire was vast, it only took the 50,000 Protoss army a month to conquer the entire territory of the Celestial Empire. 14 provinces all submitted to Yangsheng. On the 27th day of the 8th month, under the support of Baiming Yuan and Qin Yu, Yangsheng ascended the throne in the Celestial Pole continent and called himself Emperor Shang. He named the country Shang and named it Shang. It was called Shang and was called Great Shang. It stood as an equal to the Qin Empire on the other side of the ocean. The Great Shang had more than 1.5 million human soldiers and nearly 60,000 Protoss soldiers. The military power was jointly controlled by Yangsheng and Dora. Yangsheng knew how to make good use of people. He appointed Qin Yu and Baiming Yuan as the left and right prime ministers to govern the fertile land of the Great Shang. A month passed in the mortal world, and another year passed in the 64 domains. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi's cultivation had improved a lot. Among them, Lin Muyu had reached the 95th heavenly abode, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had reached the 90th heavenly abode on the same day. The three of them had reached a level where they could rule a region. Today was a big day for the 64 domains. Ziyao's oracle from the Eastern Divine Realm had arrived. At noon today, she would use the Northern Heavenly Wheel to open the enchantment above the Devouring Heaven Domain's castle and connect it to the realm of the gods. This would last for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. This way, Lin Muyu would be able to lead the 60,000 Protoss army out of the prehistoric secret realm. The weather was scorching hot and the sun was scorching the earth. The sky above the domain castle was filled with people. The 60,000 people of the Dragon League had come out in full strength. Even Luo Tianji would be brought along with them to the divine realm to enjoy eternal life. Lin Muyu had changed into a brand new white robe. This was the white robe that she wore in the Shattered Cauldron realm. There was even a purple flower embroidered by Qin Yin on it. So many years had passed. Everything had changed, but Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were still by her side. Lin Muyu's feelings for them had never changed. This was probably the rarest thing in the world. The enchantment will be opened soon. Qin Yin looked at the sky. There was a glimmer of hope on her snow-white face. She smiled and said, "We have been in the 64 domains for more than 3 years. I really don't know how the outside world has changed." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile and said, "It has only been 3 months outside. How much can change?" "Xiao Yin, don't expect too much." Qin Yin smiled. Tang Xiaoxi said, "We can finally return to the Shattered Cauldron realm. However, the three of us are already consummate god emperors. General Feng, Sister Chu Yao, and Ouyang Yen probably haven't improved much." "This feeling is really," Lin Muyu looked at her gently and said, "that's why we should protect them even more. If there's a chance, we'll send Big Brother Feng, Sister Chu Yao, and the others into the 64 domains to cultivate for a period of time. After all, the people left in the 64 domains are all our people." The Dragon League left nearly 1,000 gods to govern the 64 domains. Their loyalty was not a problem. Just at this moment, the wind and clouds in the sky suddenly changed. Rays of purple clouds appeared in the sky. Amidst the hissing sounds, strands of light blossomed, as if a door had been opened. Faintly, a graceful heavenly sound could be heard. The door to the Eastern Heaven realm had already been opened. This was the effect of the northern region's Tian Luan and Ziyao's divine power. Lin Muyu raised her voice and said, "Go, the Eastern Divine Realm is waiting for us. Brothers of the Dragon League, let's go." "Ha, let's go." Feng Zhanlin and Nangong Lai laughed. They took the lead and rushed into the gate of heaven. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the 64 domains. The rest of the people also flew over. For a moment, it was very spectacular. It was as if countless meteors had crashed into a wormhole. It was beautiful and breathtaking. In less than the time it took to burn half an incense stick, the 60,000 Dragon League troops had all entered the passage. Lin Muyu immediately held Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's small hands in each hand and rushed into the gate of heaven. Their bodies suddenly entered the speed of light. They sped along the plain passage. Countless stars around them quickly receded. About 5 minutes later, the ground in front of them suddenly brightened. The three of them had already appeared in the territory of the Eastern Heaven Realm. In front of them, the densely packed Dragon League troops covered the sky. Not far away, there was a huge golden rock that soared into the sky. It was the Holy Book of the Eastern Divine Realm. All the gods who entered the Eastern Divine Realm would have their name and godhead displayed on the Holy Book. Otherwise, even if they were to sneak in, they would be expelled very quickly. Not far away, a few rays of light flew over. It was the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor with Ziyao, Sun Feng, Qing Ping, and the other gods. When he saw Lin Muyu, the Demon Emperor immediately opened his arms and hugged him. It was as if they had reunited after a long time. The group of gods behind the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor said respectfully, "Greetings, Lin General." Lin Muyu still had the dignity of the Marshal of the Left Army. "You have been in the ancient mystery realm for 3 years, right? Good lad, you're much stronger now." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor patted Lin Muyu's arm with great force. Godly power burst forth. "Good lad, it was all thanks to Lin Muyu. If it were anyone else, they might not have been able to withstand 30% of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's strength." It seemed like the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor also wanted to test the extent of Lin Muyu's strength. However, Lin Muyu did not budge. His aura was extremely steady. His entire person was like a mountain. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's several pats only hit Lin Muyu's protective energy barrier. It did not budge at all. "You're that strong?" The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was shocked. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. "Big brother, it's very simple if you want to test my martial arts. Let's each use 50% of our strength and fight first appearance of the stars." But the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was overflowing with excitement. He suddenly shouted, and a bright light appeared in his palm. It was first appearance of the stars. Although he did not learn the star technique, with the Demon Emperor's talent, he understood everything after watching Lin Muyu practice it a few times. His proficiency in first appearance of the stars was not any lower than Lin Muyu's. Buzz buzz. Lin Muyu also opened her right hand, and a bright light appeared in her palm. A strong wind blew, and her cloak fluttered. Her aura was not inferior to the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor at all. She blasted it out in a straight line. Everyone retreated. Even Ziyao, Qin Yin, and other gods with extremely high cultivation retreated tens of meters to avoid being affected. There was no need to mention the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's cultivation. He was originally one of the top figures in the 3 realms. Now that Lin Muyu had cultivated 95 grotto heavens, her strength could not be underestimated either. She was no longer the young boy from before. Boom! The airflow caused by the explosion was so strong that many weaker gods were blown to the side. This attack was just a small test by the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Lin Muyu. The 2 figures collided and separated. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor slightly opened his palm, and a circular mist evaporated around his 5 fingers. He could not help but say in surprise, "Good lad, you actually fought on par with me?" Lin Muyu shook her head. "It's not a fight on par, it's still a level lower. My arm is so numb from the shock." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor waved his hand and smiled. "Actually, I'm numb too, but I'm the master of the celestial realm. I have to hold it up." Lin Muyu looked at him in disdain. "Have you prepared a welcoming banquet for us tonight? Of course, we can drink for 3 days and 3 nights. The banquet will not stop. I've already ordered all the resources of the Eastern Divine Realm to be brought out. In order to gather all kinds of delicacies, I've already ordered the divine servants who prepared the banquet to go to the mortal world to look for ingredients. We can eat the delicacies of the spiritual realm, Great Will realm, Luoqian realm, and other realms today. That's great. Tang Xiaoxi, who was beside Lin Muyu, could not help but laugh out loud. The 7 luminaries demon emperor stretched his head to look at Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin. He lowered his voice and laughed. Brat, why haven't you taken down the 2 peerless beauties, Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi? Don't be too arrogant. Be careful, there are many handsome gods in the Eastern Divine Realm. Lin Muyu was speechless. Didn't you also not take down Sister Xiao? You weakling, you really don't know how to chat. Let's go to the banquet. Lin Muyu looked at the sky. It was almost dusk in the celestial realm. Coincidentally, she did not have anything to eat in the 64 domains. She could eat to her heart's content in the celestial realm. The spirited mountain where the 7 luminaries demon emperor resided was enshrouded in celestial qi. It was very gorgeous. Banquets were set up from the main hall all the way to the altar. This banquet needed to entertain at least 100,000 godly state experts. One could imagine how luxurious it was. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and the others were arranged to sit in the main hall, which was naturally the place closest to Jizun. What? The Northern Heaven realm is involved. When she heard about Yangsheng, Lin Muyu could not help but stand up from her seat. Her expression changed drastically. Don't get too excited. The 7 luminaries demon emperor said. A mere Yangsheng won't amount to much. Furthermore, he will not make a move against the Shattered Cauldron realm for the time being. He will at least wait until his army has finished reorganizing. How many days does a god need to rest? Lin Muyu frowned and said, No, I'm worried. It's too dangerous for Big Brother Feng, Big Sister Chu Yao, and the others to stay in the Shattered Cauldron realm. If Yangsheng really makes up his mind to assassinate them in the Shattered Cauldron realm, I'm afraid that Big Brother Feng, Big Sister Chu Yao, and Ouyang Shang won't be able to stop Yangsheng. That's right, they won't be able to stop him. But don't worry. The 7 luminaries demon emperor pointed to the illusory pool not far away and said, That's the illusory pool of the heaven realm. You can see everything in the mortal realm. I have arranged a group of people to keep an eye on Yangsheng. As long as he acts rashly, I will be able to detect it. Don't worry, Yangsheng is currently busy holding his Ascension ceremony in Tianji City. Ascension ceremony? Lin Muyu was finally relieved. She sat down again and said, Yangsheng is going to be the emperor? That's right. The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised the corner of his mouth. This guy isn't satisfied being a marshal in the celestial realm. He wants to taste the taste of power. So after he unified the celestial pole continent, he called himself Emperor Shang and became the local emperor of the entire celestial pole continent. According to the information we have gathered, it seems that the northern divine King Dongming has let him be. He doesn't want to care about Yangsheng's misdeeds in the mortal realm. Lin Muyu said, Then I'm going to the Shattered Cauldron realm to play with Yangsheng. Don't underestimate the enemy, Big Rain. Ziyao said, Yangsheng's strength is not bad. You may not have the confidence to win. Moreover, he still has the 60,000 celestial realm army. You can't underestimate him. Also, Yangsheng still has 20,000 reserve troops in the celestial realm. So, we need to think about it carefully and not underestimate the enemy. Sister Xiao, don't worry. The cards in my hand are not as simple as the 60,000 celestial realm army in the Dragon League. Oh! The 7 luminaries demon emperor, Xiao, Sun Feng, and the others' mouths formed an O shape in unison. Chapter 1082. Tell me, what other trump cards do you have? The 7 luminaries demon emperor asked. Lin Muyu curled her lips. Gameng, tell the demon emperor. Yes, leader. Gameng stood up and said respectfully, Your Majesty, Lin General is now the great leader of the Zhili tribe. Other than the 60,000 Dragon League soldiers, there are also 8,000 Xing Tian soldiers. These soldiers ride on undying phoenixes and are extremely powerful. They are hidden in the Immortal Mountain. In addition, there are 30,000 immortal Gonggong Navy soldiers hidden in the primordial waters. These 30,000 Gonggong Navy soldiers are the kings of the water and can be said to be the strongest navy in the 3 realms. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor touched his chin and said, "Although I don't know what kind of army they are, they sound very powerful. Can you subdue them?" "Yes, I have the star stone left behind by Chiyu. That is the signal arrow to command the heavenly army and the navy." "Great!" The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was excited. "Including these troops, you has a divine realm army of 100,000 soldiers. Even if Yangshang mobilizes all his troops, he may not be a match for you. Switch. You can unify the Shattered Cauldron realm while I watch from the sidelines. Dong Ming reinforcements, I will too. This time, we can play with the Northern Divine Realm." Lin Muyu nodded. "But I have to reclaim these troops first." "What are you going to do?" the Demon Emperor asked. Lin Muyu said without hesitation, "There's no time to lose. After the banquet, I will send the 4 great witches with 60,000 Dragon League soldiers to the Shattered Cauldron realm to protect Lanyan City. With the 4 great witches there, Yangshang can't do anything to Brother Feng and Sister Xiao. I will go to the Immortal Mountain myself and find the 8,000 Xingtian soldiers. I will bring them to the Shattered Cauldron realm and teleport to Earth to find the 30,000 Gonggong Navy soldiers." That's good too. Come, let's drink first. We haven't seen each other for so long, let's at least enjoy this meal. All right. In the end, they drank until they were drunk. Even when it was late at night, the spiritual mountain was still brightly lit. The prosperity of the Eastern Divine Realm almost dazzled the gods of the 64 domains. After being listed in the Divine Book, the Divine Realm still gave them eternal life. What they had to do next was to contribute their strength to Lin Muyu, Lin General, and fight for a place in the mortal world. In the end, they decided to go to the Shattered Cauldron realm the next day. Meanwhile, Lin Muyu brought the 4 great witches to the Immortal Mountain to look for Xingtian's heavenly army. "Leader, is your body okay?" Gomang looked worried. Lin Muyu knew what he was referring to. She smiled slightly and spread out her 5 fingers. Immediately, streaks of purple flames appeared and evaporated all of the alcohol in the air. Her entire being became spirited as well. "Let's go to the Immortal Mountain." Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Demon Emperor, Xiao and others also went with them. They also wanted to see how powerful Xingtian was. They flew over the mountains and saw that the star world under the jurisdiction of the Eastern Divine Realm was like a dazzling gemstone. This was a gift from the universe. Under Ziyao's lead, they soon flew to the top of a spiritual mountain that was shrouded in dark light. "This is the Immortal Mountain." Ziyao pursed her red lips and said, "Below the Immortal Mountain is the Immortal Spring. It is said that the source of eternal life of the Eastern Divine Realm is here. However, no one knows what Xingtian's heavenly army is hiding in the Immortal Mountain. I don't know if it is true or not. We will know once we go and take a look." Lin Muyu was the first to dive down. Sure enough, the spiritual mountain was very ordinary. There was only a gurgling immortal spring on the dark mountain, which added a bit of scenery. Everyone looked everywhere, but they didn't find the slightest trace of it. Could it be that the legend is fake? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor muttered to himself. "It can't be, it definitely can't be." Zhulong hurriedly shook his head and said, "Xingtian's heavenly army was once the pride of the Jiuli tribe. It definitely won't disappear just like that. The ancestral god told us that the Xingtian's heavenly army is hidden here, so it can't be wrong. The ancestral god wouldn't lie to us." Sun Feng, who was at the side, frowned and said, "But after so many years, generations of gods have fallen. Even Chiyu ended up with his soul scattered. That Xingtian's heavenly army might have been wiped out at some point, right?" "What are you talking about?" Zhulong suddenly grabbed Sun Feng's collar. What kind of person was Sun Feng? He was one of the 2 great marshals of the Eastern Divine Realm and a 99th level Heavenly Passage expert. With just a light shake, he broke free from Zhulong's grasp. With an indifferent gaze, he said, "You, control your people. They are too rough." Lin Muyu could empathize with Zhulong's feelings. She only faintly smiled and said, "Sun Feng, please be more understanding. Also, don't speak nonsense. I also believe that Xing Tian's heavenly army won't be wiped out. But this immortal mountain is barren. Apart from the immortal spring, there is nothing else. Where would Xing Tian's heavenly army be hiding?" Qingping said with a frown. "The immortal spring. That's right, the immortal spring." Gomang's eyes lit up. Xing Tian's heavenly army has 8,000 phoenix mounts. They should be raised high up, but they are easily discovered and killed. It must be the immortal spring. They are hiding under the immortal spring. Is that so? Let's go in and take a look. The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised his hand, and the cold water of the immortal spring immediately parted to form a passage. It was an understatement, but it was enough to show how proficient he was in controlling the laws. It was likely that any of the 7 luminaries demon emperor's laws were not inferior to those of the main gods. He had already displayed the power of his supreme personality to the fullest, and this was also something that Lin Muyu was slightly lacking in. Amidst the gurgling sounds of water, everyone flew to the bottom of the cold pond. Immediately, the surroundings were filled with a chill. Lin Muyu pulled out the Xianyuan sword, illuminating everything around them. As expected, there was a cave at the bottom of the cold pond. After passing through the cave, there was another world. There was actually another world in the depths of the Spirit Mountain. There was a temple-like building in the surroundings, with towering stone pillars erected all around. The totem patterns carved on the pillars were in the shape of cow heads. "This is the place." Everyone flew inside. Gomang couldn't help but laugh loudly. "This is our clan's totem. Xing Tian's army must be hiding here. Quickly find out where they are." "Yes." Everyone searched around, but found that the entire stone cave was empty. There was nothing except for the buildings and the totem. "Impossible. Where did they go?" Gomang was a little disappointed. Qin Yin raised the East Flower sword and floated between the caves. Her gaze fell on the cave. There were protruding lumps there, like stalactites formed by water droplets, but it didn't look like it. It was more like something that had been chiseled by an axe. "Could they be in here?" She pointed. Lin Muyu, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, and the others flew over and were stunned. There were many such lumps in the cave, and they were densely packed. This seemed to be the only explanation. "Break one open and see." Zhulong waved his sword and split open a stone block. Suddenly, they saw a huge stone statue inside. It was an ancient warrior, riding on a phoenix, holding a huge stone axe in his hand, and looking serene. "Why is it a stone?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor frowned and said, "Could it be that after hiding here for millions of years, they have become petrified?" "Impossible." Gamung was a little upset and said, "They are the army of the celestial race. After so many years, they will only become stronger. It's impossible for them to become stone." It's impossible." Tang Xiaoxi held Lin Muyu's arm and said, "Mu, why don't you try using the star stone? Didn't you say, the star stone is the token to command them? If they don't see the star stone, I'm afraid they won't dare to wake up, right?" Lin Muyu nodded and took out the star stone from her Qiankuan bag. Instantly, the gem blossomed with brilliant light in the cave. Swoosh! The light rippled like water, and in the blink of an eye, it swept across the entire cave. Instantly, the stones that were stuck to the cave bulged and cracked. The moment the stones cracked, they could see the luster of golden skin. Following that, there was a dazzling flame. It was the luster of a phoenix spreading its wings. Very soon, the stones cracked one by one, and the warriors riding on the phoenix flew in the air. Their faces were filled with astonishment. It was probably because they had been sleeping for too long that they were stunned. Gomang was overjoyed. He held the Gomang saber and summoned 2 white dragons. He laughed majestically and said, "Xing Tian's slaves, do you still remember me?" All the warriors looked at him, and in the blink of an eye, everyone revealed a look of reverence. Greetings to sorcerer god Gomang. They hadn't spoken for so long that they couldn't even speak clearly. Gomang smiled and said, "The one who woke you up wasn't me, but the new Lord Leader." With the star stone in hand, Lin Muyu flew forward and said, "From today onwards, you will only listen to my orders. Do you understand?" After seeing the star stone, the eyes of the Heaven Army were filled with even more reverence. They all landed on the ground and knelt down from the back of the phoenix. "Greetings to Lord Leader." "All right, return to the divine realm. There will be new orders very soon." "Yes, Lord Leader." There were exactly 8,000 Xingtian army, and what surprised Lin Muyu was that their strength was very average. Almost all of them were at the 50th Celestial King realm. Although they didn't comprehend the divine wall, with the sharp blades in their hands and the flame power of the phoenix, once they launched an attack, it would be very impressive. This night was destined to be a sleepless night in the Eastern Divine Realm. It was very lively. Many gods went to see the Xingtian army hidden in the Fountain of Youth. With this, the Divine Realm army in Lin Muyu's hands had reached 70,000. It could be said to be a powerful army. The next morning, everyone gathered on the Spirited Mountain and waited for the gate of Heaven Realm to open. They would head to the mortal realm together. This was their first mission, and perhaps the only mission that Lin Muyu directly gave them. The warm morning light bathed everyone's body. The morning light separated the starlight and quickly gathered to form a huge passage. This was the passage that Xiao opened for everyone to head to the Shattered Cauldron realm. "It can't last for long. We have to hurry," said Lin Muyu loudly. Everyone flew away in shuttles. Shattered Cauldron realm, Lanyan City. Suddenly, thousands of light rays bloomed in the sky and illuminated the whole world. Swoosh! Feng Jixing rushed out of the Imperial Army's tent and looked at the countless starlight rays falling from the sky. He couldn't help but smile and said, "Yu is back. Her Highness Empress is back. Someone come quickly. Old Zhang, Guanxing, we will head to the Zetian Palace immediately." Chapter 1083. Zetian Palace. The wind blew, and the clouds surged. Beams of golden light fell on every part of the palace, including the stairs, the altar, and the roof. They were everywhere, accompanied by strong gusts of wind and warm energy that spread in all directions. The palace maids screamed in fear. The royal guards pulled out their swords and lined up in a row to protect the people in the palace. Only Su Yu, Ouyang Yen, and the others lived in Zetian Palace. Swoosh! Su Yu dashed out of the back hall and looked up at the sky. Her face was pale. "What's going on? What's going on? Is it a celestial phenomenon? Ouyang Yen, say something." Ouyang Yen walked over slowly with a smile. "Don't be too nervous. It's the scene of the gods descending. The fact that they can directly descend above Zetian Palace means that they understand Zetian Palace. Don't worry. They should be on our side." "On our side?" Su Yu was startled and said, "Xiao Yin is back?" "Most likely." "That's great." Su Yu was surprised. "Xiao Yin is finally home. That's great." In these 3 years, Su Yu's ability to support the imperial court was truly somewhat lacking. If it wasn't for Feng Jixing, Qin Yan, Chu Yao, Xiao Han, and the others doing their best, perhaps this ownerless world would have long been torn to shreds. At that moment, the light in the sky grew brighter and brighter. Waves of power surged out and golden ripples could be seen everywhere. Figures appeared under the pillars of light. It was the Dragon Alliance and the heavenly Xingtian army. "Everyone be on guard." The commander of the royal guards and dragon guards roared. Clang, clang, clang. The blades were unsheathed, and standard long swords shining with a cold light were pointed straight at the figures. Most of the imperial guards were at the Heaven Realm, and they had a basic understanding of the power of domains. That was why the power that rippled out from the people who descended from the sky was so strong that the imperial guards felt chills run down their spines. They were all incredibly nervous. Swoosh, 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 3 beams of light fell on the stairs in front of the palace. In the blink of an eye, 3 figures appeared in the golden light. They looked very good with their cloaks fluttering. However, the light was too bright. No one could see who they were. Be on guard, protect Lord Su Yu. The commander of the dragon guards had already drawn his sword and bellowed, report your name, or I'll make my move. In the face of a power that was absolutely stronger than him, he still drew his weapon. The determination and courage of this dragon guard commander was admirable. If it were an ordinary person, they would have had a mental breakdown. The golden light turned into starlight and slowly dispersed. A figure walked out from the light. She wore a red and white dress that wrapped around her graceful figure. Her beautiful face that was as brilliant as the stars had a refreshing smile on it. Aunt Luo, it's me, Su Yu shuddered. Who else could this peerless beauty that descended from the sky be other than Qin Yin? It's really Xiao Yin. Su Yu's voice was trembling. She rushed forward and hugged Qin Yin. Qin Yin also hugged her tightly. Qin Yin had almost no relatives left in this world. Su Yu could be considered the closest one. The commander of the dragon guards stood there blankly with his sword in hand. At this moment, the light flickered and two other people walked out of the light screen. They were Lin Muyu and Qin Yin. Seeing that the commander of the dragon guards was in a daze, Lin Muyu smiled and asked, Qin Luan, are you still going to point your sword at the Empress? Qin Luan's body trembled. He hurriedly put down his sword, knelt on one knee, and said in a deep voice, General Qin Luan pays his respects to the Empress, Lin General, and Princess Shi. The group of dragon guards also put down their weapons and knelt down one after another. Finally, the Empress, Qin Yin, had reappeared in the shattered cauldron realm. Furthermore, her strength had reached the stage of being reborn. She was no longer comparable to the previous Qin Yin. Why? Ouyang, you don't recognize me anymore? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Ouyang Yan's mouth was already agape. She said, to be honest, Your Highness you, even though your appearance hasn't changed, your strength has changed too much. I have always looked at people with my heart. In this case, I almost don't recognize you anymore. Lin Muyu saw through Ouyang Yan's cultivation with a glance. She had already stepped into the God the Arch realm with 63 grotto heavens. She smiled and said, you haven't been idle these few months. You have stepped into the God the Arch realm. Not bad, not bad, Ouyang Yan pouted and acted coquettishly, you always see through me with a glance. Cough cough, enough, enough, Lin Muyu was a little embarrassed. After not seeing Ouyang Yan for so long, she still hadn't changed much. At this time, the sound of footsteps came from the direction of the palace gate. Very quickly, a few figures flew over. It was Feng Jixing, Qin Yan, Wei Chou, Citizen, Shui, Zhang Wei and the others. They had reunited after a long time. All of their faces were filled with joy. Lin Muyu immediately rushed over and hugged everyone. Citizen, Wei Chou and the others laughed out loud. Actually, everyone had always been worried that something would happen to Lin Muyu when he was cultivating in the outer realm. Now that he had returned and was even more handsome, they knew that he was fine. Furthermore, his strength had increased by several folds. Big brother Feng, how have you been these few months? Lin Muyu asked. Feng Jixing chuckled, same as always. My strength hasn't increased much. I just stepped into the 40th grotto heavens not long ago. On the other hand, you are now unfathomable. What realm have you reached? Lin Muyu said, 95. Feng Jixing turned pale with fright. Then he laughed out loud, that's great, that's really great. I was originally worried that Emperor Shang of the Celestial Pole continent would mobilize his army to the west. If that happened, none of us would be able to stop that person. It's rare that you have broken through to this realm. This is really great. Then I have nothing to be afraid of. I can have a good sleep now. As he spoke, Feng Jixing had a sorrowful look on his face. Lin Muyu knew what he was thinking. Feng Jixing was a person who had both arrogance and humility in his heart. He pursued even stronger strength, but he wouldn't rashly have killing intent. Back then, Lin Muyu and his strength were only on par, but now, the disparity was too great. So much so that right now, even 10 Feng Jixing wouldn't be a match for Lin Muyu. This kind of sorrowful feeling was natural. Big Brother Feng, there will be a chance. Lin Muyu patted his shoulder and said, "This time, I brought back quite a lot of good things from the 64 domains. Among them are the seeds and fruits of rare spirit fruits that can increase cultivation. Don't worry, with your aptitude, you can break through to the 90th level of Grotto Heaven within a year. Moreover, you will have me to help you." Feng Jixing couldn't help but laugh. "I knew that you have a conscience. You won't forget us brothers who stayed in the Shattered Cauldron realm to clean up after you." Wei Chou and Sidu Sun also laughed. "Lin General, don't forget us too. Don't worry, we will all have a share." Lin Muyu said, "In the future, we will move unhindered in the immortal realm together. Let's not talk about it for now. Big Brother Feng, you and A Yen can arrange the accommodation for the Dragon League army. There are close to 70,000 people in total. Just arrange them in the camp." 70,000 people? Feng Jixing was stunned. "Where did you find so many people? Strictly speaking, they are not people. Each of them is a god." Sidu Shue's mouth opened in shock. 70,000 godly state experts? Yes. Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. "If I don't have this trump card, how can I fight against Yang Shang's Immortal Realm army?" Feng Jixing was excited. "With this Immortal Realm army, the Empire will really have the confidence. When I am not around, Big Brother Feng will be in charge of this army," Lin Muyu said. Feng Jixing was stunned. He could sense the strength of the Dragon League army. A small half of them were probably stronger than Feng Jixing. What right did he have to lead them? Lin Muyu knew what Feng Jixing was thinking. She raised her hand and said, "Army leaders, come over." Immediately, the 4 army leaders of the Dragon League floated over. Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai, Zhulong, and Murong Tianxing greeted respectfully. "Greetings, Lin General, please instruct us." All 4 of them were great perfection celestial the arch-experts. Feng Jixing did not speak. His eyes were filled with a deep light. These people were not easy to deal with. Lin Muyu waved her hand and said, "Let me introduce him. He is the commander of the Imperial Guards, Feng Jixing. He is my big brother and the person with the highest military authority in the Shattered Cauldron realm. From now on, when I am not around, all of you will listen to Feng Jixing's orders. Understood?" The 4 of them nodded in unison. "Greetings, General Feng." Feng Jixing was a little overwhelmed by the favor. "You, do you really think that I can control these incredible people?" "Of course." Lin Muyu smiled. "Big Brother Feng, you are much more familiar with the Shattered Cauldron realm and the Celestial Pole continent than them. You are also better at war and strategizing than them. You don't have to decline." As she spoke, Lin Muyu said to everyone, "From now on, Feng Jixing will be the deputy commander of the Dragon League army. He will have the same authority as me. Understood?" Although Zhulong, Nangong Lai, Feng Zhanlin, and the others were arrogant, they knew that Lin Muyu had 2 brothers. One was the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor, and the other was Feng Jixing. Although Feng Jixing's strength was average, he was definitely outstanding. You said you are leaving?" Feng Jixing finally understood something from Lin Muyu's words. "Yes, I will leave after arranging everything in Lanyan City. Like I said before, I have been away from home for too long. I have not been filial to my father all these years. Now that I have gained insight into the reincarnation cycle and can travel through the largest dimensional space, it is time for me to go home and see my father and brother." "Okay, I support you on this. But you have to come back as soon as possible. The Shattered Cauldron realm is still a mess." "Got it." At this moment, Feng Jixing gave Qin Yan, Citizen, Wei Chou, and the others a look. Everyone immediately walked to Qin Yin and knelt on one knee in unison. "Greetings, Your Highness Yin. Greetings, Princess Shi. General Feng, please rise." "You may rise." Qin Yin had a gentle expression and smiled. "Long time no see. How is everyone?" We can eat and drink." Zhang Wei smiled. Everyone smiled as well. Feng Jixing walked forward with a burning gaze and said, "Your Highness Yin, since you have returned, then I will bring Your Highness to see someone. It is time." Qin Yin was surprised. Chapter 1084. In the middle of the night, there was a cold dew. Huge stone tablets were erected in the wilderness, forming a forest. Under the bright moonlight, the first row of stone tablets was engraved with names. According to the order, the first one was Lin Muyu, followed by Chu Huaying, Qin Lei, Lei Hong, and the others. Lin Muyu stopped her horse and looked at her name on the nation-guarding monument. She couldn't help but feel nostalgic. It's been so many years. Qin Yin said faintly. Yes, it's been so many years. We've all persevered. Lin Muyu nodded. Brother Yu, do you regret it? Qin Yin asked. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said in a self-deprecating manner, I only regret that I didn't tell my father about my feelings for you before he passed away. This will leave me with eternal regret. Why? Qin Yin was confused. What was I then? Lin Muyu continued to urge her horse forward. You're the only heir to the empire, and I'm just a mere royal guard. I have no backing, and my own strength is only average. I don't even know if I can survive the turbulent times, so how could I possibly bring up the matter with you to my father? I think he wouldn't agree to it then, right? Maybe. Qin Yin's eyes glowed faintly. Or maybe he would. We don't understand him. Let's go. We're almost there. Lin Muyu and Qin Yin walked in front. Tang Xiaoxi, Ouyang Yan, Chu Yao, Wei Chou, Feng Jixing, and the others followed closely behind. The history of the empire over the past 12 years was recorded here. Everyone's youth seemed to be deeply imprinted here. They couldn't be erased or forgotten. A few rays of light shone from the stone forest in front of them. It was the people who stayed behind to guard the nation-guarding monument. A group of royal guards knelt on both sides of the road. Lin Muyu gestured for them to keep quiet and led Qin Yin and the others to the huts. The huts were simple and even leaky. It was fine in spring, summer, and autumn. Once winter came, the cold wind would be enough to kill the people in the huts. Outside the huts, a young man was carving a piece of wood with a knife. It was probably used to fill the gaps in the huts. He was so focused on carving that he didn't notice the arrival of Lin Muyu and the others. Qin Huan? Tang Xiaoxi recognized him. Qin Huan raised his head abruptly, his face full of astonishment. He saw the people he had seen many years ago, and he even saw his cousin Qin Yin. Is that Xiao Yin? Qin Huan was nearly 40 years old and looked old, but Qin Yin still looked like a young girl in her 20s. The moment Qin Huan saw Qin Yin, he actually recalled the appearance of the time when they played together in their youth. However, Qin Yin's appearance remained in that era, while he himself had been weathered by the passage of time into this miserable and weathered appearance. It's me, cousin. Qin Yin glanced at him and said, Is second uncle inside? Yes, yes. Qin Huan hurriedly said loudly, Father? No, father, Her Highness Xiao Yin is here. Cough, cough, cough. Accompanied by violent coughing, an old figure walked out with a pine crutch. His hair was disheveled, and he was frighteningly old. Who else could it be but Qin Yi? Under the moonlight, Qin Yi saw Qin Yin and seemed to see the past. Xiao Yin. His voice was very obscure. Second uncle. Qin Yin's gaze was calm as she said, You're finally back. Xiao Yin. Qin Yin looked around, including the faint rancid smell coming from the rice pot. She frowned and said, Someone come. Your subordinate is here. Your Highness, please give me your orders. Wei Chou cupped his fists. From now on, the food here will be the standard of a second-rank marquis. Send someone to renovate the house. At least it should be livable. Yes. Qin Yin glanced at Qin Yi again and said, He's sick. Sister Chu Yao, send a doctor from the spiritual medicine department to treat him. Chu Yao nodded, but she didn't treat Qin Yi herself. After all, Chu Huayin's death was directly related to Qin Yi. Chu Yao's hatred couldn't be dispelled just like that. Xiao Yin. Qin Yi knelt down, tears streaming down his old face. Qin Yi knelt down with tears streaming down his face. He prostrated himself in the dirty soil and wailed, Second uncle was wrong, second uncle was really wrong. Every day and every night, I dream of my brother, he smiles at me, he always smiles at me. I was blinded by power, I was wrong. I regret everything I've done, Xiaoyin, give the order to kill me, I should have died long ago. Second uncle, you killed the emperor and stole the throne. You should be killed, but I'm a junior. I can't kill you. Qin Yin pointed into the distance and said, Father's grave is over there. I won't kill you, but you have to stay here with him until you die. This is the atonement you should do. As she spoke, her beautiful eyes became misty as she said, Father was so good to you, just like how he was to me. He was our relative, yet you killed him. This crime cannot be forgiven for the rest of your life. You can stay here. Qin Yi's body trembled. He buried his face in the soil and wailed. Lin Muyu looked at him coldly and said, Xiaoyin, let's go. When everyone was about to leave, Qin Huan knelt on the ground and said with a sobbing tone, Xiaoyin, what about me? Am I going to die here? Qin Yin didn't turn around. Yes, cousin. Qin Huan's face was pale. What did I do wrong? Why do I have to wait for death here? What did I do wrong? Don't you know what you've done? Qin Yin turned around and looked at him coldly. During the Iha nation's chaos, how many loyal people did you kill? How many people did you kill? After that, how many soldiers did you kill? You know it very well, don't you? But Qin Huan's body trembled. Tears flowed from his eyes as he cried, but I've repented. I've really repented. I know what I've done. I've received the punishment I deserve these days. Isn't that enough? Forgive me, Xiaoyin. Forgive me. Qin Yin's gentle gaze was filled with pity. If repentance means you must be forgiven, then what's the use of the country's laws? I'm already forgiving you by not killing you. Cousin, you're on your own now. Qin Huan wailed and fell to the ground. Lin Muyu's gaze was as sharp as a sword. Imperial guards, watch him. If Qin Huan dares to cry again, kill him. Yes, Marshal. Everyone drew their swords. Qin Huan was so frightened that he could only whimper. Under the moonlight, Feng Jixing asked with a smile, Why don't you let him cry? He's already very pitiful. There must be something hateful about a pitiful person. Lin Muyu said, He actually cried like this to gain Xiaoyin's sympathy. He knows that Xiaoyin is kind-hearted, but he still wants to use it to put on an act in front of me. The fact that I didn't kill him shows that I'm kind-hearted. Oh, you're really kind-hearted. Tang Xiaoxi giggled. Qin Yin was amused as well. In the darkness of the night, a huge tomb stood majestically in the middle of the forest of guardian monuments. It was the tomb of the late Emperor, Qin Jin. A group of royal guards surrounded the area with torches in their hands while Qin Yin, Lin Muyu, Tang Xiaoxi, and the others dismounted from their horses and knelt in front of the tomb in order. There was a line of words on the tombstone. Tomb of the Radiant Emperor, Qin Jin. Qin Jin reigned for 27 years. He pacified the 4 provinces in the south, attacked the desert in the north, and built the Demon Suppression Pass in the west. He could be considered a wise ruler. Unfortunately, the chaos of Iha country had wiped out almost all his merits. Imperial Father, Xiaoyin is back. I'm back too. Qin Yin and Lin Muyu said one after another. After Feng Jixing kowtowed, he got up and approached the tombstone. Some things can't be delayed for too long. Your Majesty, I should inform you about Her Highness and Yu's marriage. Ouyang Yen asked, Why? Are you going to be a matchmaker? Feng Jixing touched his nose. Not necessarily. The emperor is not anxious, but the eunuch is. Ouyang Yen giggled. At this time, Qin Yin blushed and said softly, Imperial Father, Xiaoyin likes Brother Yu and will marry Brother Yu in the future. So today I will tell Imperial Father. I hope that Imperial Father's spirit in heaven can bless us. Lin Muyu pulled out the Xinyuan sword and held it in front of her. She knelt on one knee and said in a low voice, Your Majesty, I will love and protect Xiaoyin forever. If I break this promise, may the heavens and earth destroy me. Your Majesty, please rest assured and hand Xiaoyin over to me. Wei Chou was stunned. Is this considered a marriage? Chu Yao glanced at Tang Xiaoxi beside her and said, "My heart aches for Xiaoxi." Tang Xiaoxi pouted. Lin Muyu coughed and said, "In addition, Your Majesty, I may take one more concubine, but no more." Damn. Feng Jixing almost pointed his middle finger at her. How could she do this? Wei Chou said, "Please understand, Your Majesty. After all, Lin General is the Emperor of Gods, one of the rulers of the divine realm. It is very rare for him to marry 2 concubines, everyone." Lin Muyu stayed in Lanyan City for 3 days and helped Qin Yin deal with various things related to the Congress. Now the members of the Congress were talents selected from all over the country. Basically, all the matters of the country were decided by the Congress, so the responsibility of the emperor was much smaller. The only thing that was not given to the Congress was the military power. But once Lin Muyu and the others really ascended and never came back, the military power was given to the Congress to control the normal operation of the empire. On the 4th day, the Wheel of Time was facing the southeast direction, which was where the earth was. Now Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi were all perfected divine emperors. Their bodies could withstand the impact of the time quicksand and fly to the position of the earth. After a discussion, they decided to add Gomang to the group to help Lin Muyu find the location of the Gong Gong Navy. After all, Gomang was calm and gentle, so it was much safer than bringing along the other 3 ancestors of sorcery. At noon, a few rays of golden light spread in the Zetian Palace. Lin Muyu and the others had already disappeared, entering the speed of the flowing light shuttling. The time quicksand kept attacking her body. Lin Muyu forced her eyes open and looked at the scene in front of her. She couldn't help but jump with joy in the depths of her heart. She had waited for this day for too long. After 12 years away from home, she was finally going home. The time dimension of the Earth and the Shattered Cauldron realm were different. 12 years in the Shattered Cauldron realm was equivalent to 4 years on Earth. So, after 4 years, would her father and brother be fine? She looked around and saw Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi squinting their beautiful eyes. She wondered how happy her father would be to bring these 2 beautiful wives home. Chapter 1085. Earth, China, Magic City, Shanghai. Night fell, and the lanterns were lit. At night, Shanghai was full of neon lights and heavy traffic. The bright, long streets weaved the city into squares, and even the Pearl Tower in the night sky could be seen from afar. It had not been seen for many years, but it was still so bright and moving. The night breeze blew gently. It was autumn. In the pitch-black sky, several figures slowly shuttled out of the dimensional space. The golden light on their bodies slowly dissipated, and their figures also disappeared into the night. It was impossible to see them with the naked eye. The night breeze blew her cloak gently. Lin Muyu's clear eyes looked at the bustling city, and she could not help but feel excited. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi opened their beautiful eyes wide. This city was far more prosperous than Lanyan City, and the cars running on the road were much better looking than the steam-powered cars in Lanyan City. "Brother Yu, is this your hometown?" Qin Yin blinked. "Yes, this is my home." Lin Muyu looked at the city longingly. It had been 12 years since she last saw it, but it was still as peaceful and prosperous as before. Beside her, Gomang took a deep breath. After leaving the great realm of desolation for so many years, this place has changed a lot. I did not expect it to become like this. Yes, the battles here are no less than those in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Lin Muyu looked disdainfully at the earth and said, "Let's go, I will take you home. My home is in a villa in the suburbs. It's the weekend now, so Dad and brother should be staying there." "Mu, what about your mother?" Tang Xiaoxi said, "You have never mentioned her." Lin Muyu was stunned and said, "Mom passed away when I was very young. It was Dad who raised me and brother alone." "Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay, it was a long time ago." Lin Muyu turned and flew into the distance. Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and Gomang also quickly followed. Lin Muyu's house was not far away. Near the suburbs, there was a group of buildings that looked like giants that stretched for nearly 5 miles. That was the location of the Long Exian group, and also where Lin Muyu's family business was located. It was the foundation that her father, Lin Shun, had worked hard for many years to build, and her home was in a villa less than 5 miles away from the Long Exine group. The cool autumn breeze blew into the hall. There were a few dim lights in this castle-like villa, and the sound of cooking came from the kitchen. On the sofa in the living room, a young man was lying there with a magazine in his hand. His appearance was somewhat similar to Lin Muyu's. He frowned and muttered to himself, "Is Li Xiaoyao really going to stay at the top of the CBN rankings? It's been almost half a year, and I still haven't seen Fang Guokei surpass him. There's really no justice in this world." At this moment, a middle-aged man walked out from the room next door. He seemed to be in good spirits, but there was a hint of fatigue on his slightly aged face. "Lin Yan." "Dad, what's wrong?" Lin Yan turned around. Lin Shun glanced at the magazine in his hand and said, "Are you still planning to switch from Conquer to Destiny?" "Yes." Lin Yan's face was filled with excitement as he said, "My guild is ranked #1 in Conquer, and we also have #1 in terms of numbers. As long as I make a call, I can take at least half of them with me. Just these elites alone are enough to fight for a place in Destiny. I heard that in a month, Destiny will release a new patch. All players' levels will return to 0, and their original strength will be included in the training experience system. It's a great opportunity for us to enter Destiny. What do you think, Dad?" Lin Shun sat on the sofa, rubbed his temples, and said, "You're not young anymore, but you're still addicted to games." "Heh," Lin Yan laughed. "Aren't I also helping you with the Long Exine group's matters? How can you say that I'm addicted to games? That 3 days of fishing, 2 days of drying nets is considered taking care of things?" Lin Shun sighed and looked out the window with a deep gaze. "I wonder how your brother is doing. Last time, Li Xiaoyao said that he seemed to have seen him, but he wasn't sure. We've been trying our best to find him for 4 years, but we still couldn't find him. If he was still here, there would be someone to help me take care of the Long Exine group." "Dad!" Lin Yan frowned. "I know you miss Xiao Ji, but we don't even know where he is right now, whether he's dead or alive. You'll damage your body if you keep thinking about him every day." Sigh. Lin Shun sighed again. "Xiao Ji works much harder than you, and he's also more talented than you. You're not willing to inherit the Long Exine group, but he's probably willing." Lin Yan put down the magazine and smiled helplessly. "Fine, fine, fine. When Xiao Ji really comes back, he and I will help you take care of the company. That should be fine, right?" Lin Shun didn't say anything. He just looked at the photo frame on the table. It was a photo of Lin Yan and Lin Ji, the 2 brothers, when they were children. All these years, Lin Shun had devoted almost all of his efforts to Lin Ji, but now that Lin Ji had been missing for 4 years, he felt lost every time he thought about it. Holding the cup of water that was gradually cooling in his hand, Lin Shun's voice was extremely soft. "If I can exchange it for Xiao Ji coming back safe and sound, I'm willing to die, Dad." Lin Yan's eyes reddened. "Don't say it. The more I think about it, the more sad I feel. I also want Xiao Ji to come back early, but there's nothing we can do. We can only wait like this." The father and son fell into silence. A few dozen meters in the sky outside the window, a few black shadows gradually appeared. Lin Muyu's ears and eyes were sharp, and he heard everything clearly. He couldn't help but feel sour in his heart. After being away from home for so many years, he also missed home. However, he couldn't help but fall into the quagmire of the Shattered Cauldron realm. Now, he was finally back. Qin Yin's pair of beautiful eyes looked at the father and son in the living room behind the glass. She was slightly touched, and her beautiful eyes were covered with a thin layer of mist. She said, "Big brother, you quickly go back. Don't let them wait bitterly for you anymore." Tang Xiaoxi also pushed Lin Muyu's arm and said, "I will wait for you here with Xiao Yin. When the time is right, we will go in. Wait for a while. I will come to pick you up immediately." "Okay." Rustle. The wind blew the fallen leaves on the spacious second-floor balcony of the villa. Lin Muyu landed along with the fallen leaves. He walked on the wooden planks and walked to the living room on the second floor. The huge floor-to-ceiling windows reflected the light, as well as the figures of his father and brother. Lin Muyu gently raised his hand, but then hesitated. At times like this, people would always have an indescribable feeling of uneasiness. In the end, his palm landed and gently tapped on the window. Clang clang, what's that sound? Lin Shun raised his head. It sounds like the sound outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. It's probably a stray cat. Recently, there have been a few stray cats walking around our balcony. Lin Yen continued to pick up the magazine. However, the sound of knocking on the window sounded again, and it was very rhythmic. Someone's here, Lin Shun said. Lin Yen immediately stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows with a frown. He opened the curtains and saw a figure through the glass. He couldn't help but be stunned. It was a young man wearing armor and a cloak. His handsome face seemed familiar, and he was smiling at him through the glass. After a few seconds, Lin Yan's whole body trembled. He suddenly opened the door and hugged Lin Muyu. He laughed excitedly and said, "Xiao Ji, is it you? It must be you, right?" Lin Muyu hugged her brother back. "Brother, I'm back." At this time, Lin Shun said in a trembling voice, "Xiao Ji, are you Xiao Ji?" This call made Lin Muyu's whole body tremble. Her heart was filled with mixed feelings. Tears swirled in her eyes, and she was almost crying. Her father hadn't seen her for 4 years, but she hadn't seen her father for as long as 12 years. Moreover, in these short 4 years, her father had aged a lot. He was no longer the chairman of the Long Excian group in the prime of his life. Taking a step forward and looking at her father's face, Lin Muyu didn't know what to do. She couldn't help but kneel on the ground on one knee. Unknowingly, she gave an imperial military salute and said in a trembling voice, "Dad, I'm sorry. I came back late." "Xiao Ji, it's really Xiao Ji." Lin Shun quickly knelt on the ground and helped Lin Muyu up. Looking at his son's appearance that hadn't changed at all, he said, "Xiao Ji, you? Where have you been all these years?" The dignified chairman of the Long Excian Group, a business giant with a net worth of tens of billions, was now in tears. Lin Muyu hurriedly helped her father up. Her nose turned sour, and her tears also fell. She said, "Dad, I'm back now, aren't I? I've been living in another world all these years and didn't have the ability to come back to see you. I can finally come back now. It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back." Lin Shun was helped back to the sofa by Lin Muyu, but he still couldn't calm down. He said, "Xiao Ji, why are you dressed like this?" Lin Yen also laughed and patted Lin Muyu's shoulder. "That's right, you're dressed like a general. Which world are these clothes from?" "Io, there are barbs on your shoulder armor. They're stabbing me." "Brother, be careful." Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. "Do you still remember the game Conquer?" "Of course, I'm still playing it now." Conquer is a game designed based on another world, and I've lived in that world for many years. It's a long story, and it's too deep to explain. Let's talk about it next time. Lin Muyu looked out the window and said, "Dad, I didn't come back alone this time. I brought 3 companions with me." But Lin Shun asked. "They're outside the window. Quick, let them in." But Lin Muyu opened the floor-to-ceiling window. Lin Shun and Lin Yen also walked out. Lin Muyu shouted softly to the sky, "Xiao Yin, Xiao Shi, Gomeng, come down." 3 figures slowly descended from the sky. Although the light on the balcony was dim, it was enough to make out the appearance of Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. They had a style that was different from the local girls. They were incomparably beautiful. Lin Yen was stunned. He couldn't help but pat Lin Muyu again. F***CK, they actually flew down. Are they fairies? Brat, you're good. Io, your broken shoulder armor pricked me again. I'm bleeding. I told you to be careful. Lin Muyu said cheerfully, "Xiao Yin, Xiao Shi, come and meet my father, Lin Shun." Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi took a step forward at the same time. Their faces were slightly red. It was like a daughter-in-law meeting their parents. The 2 of them bowed in unison. "Greetings." They were using the etiquette of the Empire's ladies. It was an etiquette that had long been abolished in modern times. However, it was gentle and generous. It had a unique flavor. Lin Shun was instantly overjoyed. At least he didn't have to worry about his grandson anymore. For a moment, the way Lin Shun looked at Lin Muyu changed. This kid was promising. He was much more promising than his brother. Although Lin Yen would also bring girls home, they would always stay for one night and then never see them again. Lin Shun couldn't remember how many girls there were throughout the year. Sometimes he really wanted to beat him to death. Chapter 1086. Let's go inside, it's cold outside. After a while, Lin Shun reminded them. Lin Muyu also said, okay, let's go inside. Everyone walked into the living room together. Lin Muyu arranged for Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to sit on the sofa next to her, while Gomang casually wrapped himself in a robe and sat on the other sofa. Lin Yen kept staring at Gomang and said, this friend's clothes are really unique. Why does it have fur on it? Because he's a bird, Lin Muyu said. Ha, oh Xiaoji, don't try to fool me. Lin Muyu raised an eyebrow and said, Gomang, show my brother. Gomang floated up and gently waved his palm. Suddenly, the roar of a dragon and a tiger could be heard. A white dragon quickly hovered in the living room, its beard swaying, its eyes fixed on Lin Yen. F***CK, what is this? Lin Yen was so scared that he fell onto the sofa. His face was pale, and he desperately kicked his feet as if he wanted to sink his body into the sofa. All right. Lin Muyu waved her hand. You scared my brother, Gomang laughed, kept the white dragon, and sat down again. Lin Yen stood up silently and walked to the bathroom. Brother, what's wrong? Lin Yen stopped and said, I think I might need to change my pants. I was so scared just now that I peed my pants. Tang Xiaoxi and Qinin laughed together. Lin Shun was much calmer. He said, Xiaoji, what happened to you all these years? Tell me about it. Lin Muyu nodded lightly and said, the world I'm in is called the Shattered Cauldron Realm. The time dimension is 4 times that of Earth. In other words, I've actually been in the Shattered Cauldron Realm for 12 years. The elemental laws of that world are completely different from Earth's. It's suitable for deriving martial souls and cultivating. In other words, it's possible to cultivate to become a god there. The Shattered Cauldron Realm is extremely far from Earth. Lin Shun frowned. Strong enough? What do you mean? The Great Perfection God Emperor Realm is at the top of the gods. Lin Muyu said sincerely, it is very strong, very strong. Lin Shun took a deep breath and was slightly unable to accept it. He said, very strong to what extent? Lin Muyu pondered for a few seconds and said, powerful enough to destroy Earth in minutes. What? Lin Shun was shocked. Xiaoji, did you experience too much in the other world that caused your mind to become abnormal? I mean, it's impossible for anyone to destroy Earth in minutes. Lin Muyu smiled and held Lin Shun's arm. Dad, I'm just saying. I'm not really going to destroy Earth. This is my home. How could I do such a thing? Besides, I can't prove it to you. I'm indeed different from before, but I'm still Lin Ji. That hasn't changed. What did you say? Destroy Earth in minutes? Lin Shun changed his pants and walked out. He was much more receptive now. He said, I believe this. Now, I believe whatever Xiaoji says. Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. Yes, that's about it. Brother, I've been away all these years. You've been the only one taking care of Dad. It's been hard on you. It's nothing. It's my job. Lin Yen sat back on the sofa. Lin Shun was speechless. I'm the one taking care of him. He's already an adult, but he's still addicted to games and doesn't want to improve himself. Fortunately, Xiaoji, you're back. I'll be more at ease with you taking care of the company. Lin Muyu was startled. Dad, I won't be staying on Earth for long this time. Why? Lin Shun's face was full of displeasure. Because the matter in Shattered Cauldron World hasn't been settled. After I finish my responsibilities there, I'll come back to Earth to accompany you. Lin Shun frowned. After a while, he said, this is your home. Do you remember? You've been away for so many years without any news. I'm not going to scold you, But now that you're back, you're leaving again. Lin Muyu had mixed feelings. She felt very apologetic. She said in a low voice, "Dad, I won't be leaving for long. This time, I'll be back very soon. I'll be back in a year at most. I'll be cultivating in the immortal realm. I can also help you and brother achieve immortality." "I don't want immortality. I just want our family to be together and not be separated," Lin Shun said stubbornly. Qin Yin pursed her red lips. She wanted to say something but stopped. After a few seconds, she said, "Big brother you, since uncle has said so, then let's stay here for a while. Anyway, the Dragon League is guarding Shattered Cauldron World. Nothing big will happen. See, Xiao Yin is much more sensible than you," Lin Shun said. Qin Yin secretly smiled at Lin Muyu with a faint apology. Lin Muyu was speechless. Lin Shun continued, "Since Xiao Yin has said so, then you guys can stay here for a year. The clothes from your world can't be worn here. Tomorrow, you and your brother can bring Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi to buy more clothes. There are many rooms in the house, so you can stay here." "A year?" Lin Muyu quickly shook her head. "A year on Earth is 4 years in Shattered Cauldron World. By the time we return in 4 years, I'm afraid it'll be too late. But this is your home. Staying here is what you should do." Lin Shun's tone was much tougher. After so many years, it was still the same. The temper of this director of the Long Xian group had not improved. Lin Muyu was already used to it. She discussed and said, "Dad, 1 month. We have to leave after staying here for a month. Otherwise, it'll be too late." Lin Yan said, "Dad, since Xiao Ji has compromised, then 1 month it is. It's better than leaving immediately, right?" Lin Shun frowned. 1 month it is. You have to promise to eat at home every night. You're not allowed to stay outside. There's a curfew at night, and you're not allowed to fly down from the skylight." Lin Muyu did not know whether to laugh or cry. Her dad was still using the old ways to restrict her. However, she felt warm. She nodded and said, "Okay, I'll listen to you." "That's good." Lin Shun beamed. "Lin Yan, call Assistant Luo later. Tell her that I'll be home for dinner every night for a month. Ask her to cancel all my evening social engagements." "Okay." Lin Yan nodded happily. However, he secretly put his hand on Lin Muyu's shoulder and said, "Cultivating to become an immortal will make your brother immortal. Is this true? Ouch, your armor is poking me again. Brat, go to your room and change your clothes. If you keep wearing this, I'll go crazy." Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. "I know. I'll change. Is there any girls' clothes at home? Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi should change too." "No." Lin Yan shook his head. "Okay, I'll take them to buy clothes later." "Okay, I'll go with you. I'm familiar with Mei Luo." "You weren't familiar with it before, right?" "Who said that?" "Recently, my girlfriends often go to Mei Luo. I'm very familiar with it. Brother, I have to give you a piece of advice." "Huh? If you indulge yourself too much, even if I refine the best elixir for you, I'm afraid you can't be immortal." I know. I'll try my best." After the family finished dinner, Gomang flew to the sky to revisit this land, so there was no need to care about him. Lin Muyu changed out of her Chiyu armor and found her clothes from 4 years ago in her closet. However, she found that they were all famous brands like Versace, Armani, and Givenchy. She could not help but smile bitterly. She chose the most standard set of clothes, a shirt, a casual tie, and a casual suit. Although it was much more comfortable to wear, it still felt like she was floating and not steady enough. However, when Lin Muyu walked out of the room, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's eyes lit up. This was Lin Muyu with a different style. "Big brother Yu, did you wear this in the past?" Qin Yin asked with a smile. "Yes, how is it?" "Good." Lin Muyu chuckled. "Let's go, I'll take you 2 downstairs to buy clothes. People will think you're cosplayers if you dress like this." The 2 girls were at a loss for words. After going downstairs, Lin Yan was already waiting. After pressing the remote, 2 beautiful cars immediately appeared in front of them. Lin Yan said excitedly, "These are the 2 new cars I bought. The white one is a Porsche coupe, and the red one is the latest Ferrari. It has a lot of horsepower, and the roar of the engine is very powerful. Choose one. Lin Muyu pointed at the Porsche and said, "This one is mine. The Ferrari's color is too flashy. It doesn't suit me." "Yo, brat, why isn't your sapphire blue Lamborghini flamboyant? Now that you mention it, where's my Lamborghini?" "I sold it as a used car." Lin Yen shrugged. "You haven't been back for so long that it's almost rusted. I'm afraid it'll only be sold as an antique in a few years. I'm doing this out of consideration for you." Lin Muyu pointed at him angrily. "Just you wait, you owe me a sports car." Lin Yen laughed. "It's fine. I'll buy you 10 Lamborghinis if you want them." As he said that, Lin Yen started the Ferrari and the engine roared loudly. He whistled and asked with a smile, "Sisters-in-law, who wants to go for a ride with me?" Qin Yin smiled. "Big brother, you can go by yourself. Xiao Shi and I will follow you." "Umph," Lin Yen said angrily. "I knew it." Lin Muyu got into the car and arranged for Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to sit down. She even helped Qin Yin fasten the seatbelt because Qin Yin didn't know how to do it. Soon, the two sports cars sped out of the villa area and went straight to the street. The neon lights flashed on both sides as Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi widened their beautiful eyes and were stunned. "How is it? Is it beautiful?" Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Qin Yin nodded and said happily, "I like it here." Tang Xiaoxi clung to the front seat and said with a smile, "I like it here too, Mu. When we unify the shattered cauldron world in the future, let's stay here for a long time, okay?" Lin Muyu smiled. "In this world, as long as you have money and power, this is heaven. When you see the women's clothing here, you'll like it even more." The two girls were at a loss, but Lin Muyu was very confident. No girl could resist the temptation of beautiful clothes, and Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were no exception. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.